So this Idaho 4 quadruple murder. Like most of you, this has been on my mind a lot. I don't know where my avatar is. It has left me, apparently. Sorry. But with this Idaho 4 case, this case, I don't know if I said this in the last stream or whatever, but this case is so enormous. I feel like this case is bigger than any case that I have seen in the last 5 years, and that's a large that's a very big thing to say with the Vallow case, with the Watts case, but this case is just insane. Um, and I don't mean like all the rumors and speculation. There's tons of that, but this case is so disturbing on so many levels. They're young, they're college students, about to graduate. At least Kaylee, and they're all murdered in their house, and no one has been arrested yet. I do think that people are being unfair with demanding, like, where's the person's interest? Why has nobody been arrested? This is a huge 4 murders. That's enormous. You don't just, this case will not be solved overnight or in a month or in 6 months, even maybe, hopefully. But, this case is far out. I mean, they have to build this case. They have to find the person. Clearly, the person does not want to be found. I mean, people are like, why is it taking so long? It's like, hey, it's been like 4 weeks. It hasn't been that long, really, for a murder of this size and this capacity. Clearly, this person does not want to be caught. If they did, they would came out of the house with, sorry to be graphic, but just blood and a knife in their hand. But clearly, this person does not want to be caught. But there's two of the victims that I feel like are just not talked about enough. I feel like I've touched on them before. Behind the scenes, I talk about these two quite a bit because I feel like so much of the focus has been on Kaylee and Maddie. Many people speculate that they are the targets. None of us know. That's the fact. None of us know if it were a person in that house or just the house itself. But and I've seen people do timelines, put timelines together, some really, really good timelines. But those timelines can never be complete until we have Ethan and Xena's timeline. Kaylee and Maddie's timelines are pretty laid out. I don't have a lot of questions about their timeline, maybe the people in their timeline, but I don't have a lot of questions about their timeline because we pretty much know where they were up until their murders. Ethan and Xena are a completely different story. The other night, I got stuck in a loop. I got stuck on the TikTok video that Kaylee had uploaded. And it was her and the roommates, Xena and Dylan and Bethany and Maddie. And they were all imitating each other. And I just got stuck on this TikTok and I couldn't stop watching it. And I watched it like 80 times, I swear. I just kept watching it over and over because it was really great insight. They were all imitating each other. So it tells you that this is probably how the outside world sees each of these people. And then they have their friends, like, imitating it, laughing and stuff. But there's a lot of truth in a joke. So you have Kaylee in this TikTok video. She's imitating Xena. And she's like, oh, did anybody do their chores today? Just never mind. I'll do them. So that told me, just right away, Xena was most likely probably like the mother of the house. The one that was probably after everybody, hey, get your cup up or, clean up after yourself or I'll never mind, I'll just do it. That's a very mom-like thing to do. So I feel like Xena, even though she was younger than Kaylee and Maddie, she seemed more mature. And I think there's reasons for that. Maddie being an only child, most likely very sheltered. And Kaylee, obviously comes from a very large, loving family. I think Xena had to grow up maybe a little faster than them. And that's probably where the maturity with her that I think that she had comes in. Because in the memorial, we see Xena's family get up there, and her father and her sister speak of her, and then her Aunt Kim. And I don't feel like her Aunt Kim is talked about enough. Maybe she is on other streams. I've caught what I've caught, been able to catch about this case from YouTubers, but maybe this has been talked about a lot. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but either way, with Zena's Aunt Kim, obviously, she talks about she took Zena and her older sister and she had them for a period of time, a few years. Hi, Pink. Um, and they if she had them as their aunt, obviously the parents did not have them. She seems like a very sweet woman, a very kind woman, and you could tell she was overflowing with emotion. But that just tells you that there were issues, there whatever her issues her father or mother had. I am aware of Zena's mother being arrested for the drugs. So, but even so, that doesn't speak to Zena's character, except for in the way that it seemed to make her more mature. Again, grow up a little faster than the other girls, or just be more mature than they are. Even the way the other girls spoke of Xena and Ethan's relationship. Xena's family said themselves that they didn't think she was ever going to get a boyfriend. I think she was being very, very reserved. I think she probably was scared of relationships. She saw what happened with her parents potentially or whatever, and, kept herself away from that. But I think with Ethan, obviously, there was something there for her. There was something about him. And so I think their relationship, as opposed to Kaylee and Jax, who, Kaylee's family said, oh, Kaylee was just being a brat. And, but her mom said, I could see her getting married to Jack and they'll have kids one day. So basically saying, Kaylee's just being immature, but they actually had a good relationship and they probably would have got back together. With Xena, the way that everyone has spoken about her and Ethan's relationship, a little bit that we have heard from people, is it seemed a much more mature relationship, that they had a lot of love for each other. They showed that love. It didn't seem immature, I guess, in the way that, Kaylee would break up with her boyfriend and stuff, but they're going to get back together. Maddie and Jake, I think it took them quite a long time for him to like make her his girlfriend and stuff. So I don't know. There's just something about Xena and Ethan, and there's something about their timeline. We cannot possibly really even speculate too much without knowing what they were doing. Um, you know, at first it came out that, oh, they were seen at Ethan's fraternity between the hours of 8 and 9. And we really knew nothing else except for they got home at 1:45. And, okay, sorry. My son asking me where the bathroom gloves are because he is cleaning right now. He is actually in trouble. So, but anyway, um, where was I? Lost my train of thought with that. Um, where was I with that? Ethan and Zena. Ethan. Oh, yes. So back to their timeline. That's all we really knew. That was the only thing that was official, that they had been seen between this time and this time, and then they got home at 1:45 in the morning. But nothing in between that. And it's still not really known, except Xena's dad told her mother that the last time that he talked to Xena was at 12:30 a.m. the night of, the right before the murders, the night of the murders, and that her and Ethan were at a bar. And I thought a lot about that, of why that hasn't been talked about at all. And they were only 20 years old. So, that's serving to a minor. That's illegal. You might not want to have people that were in the bar, the bartenders or the bar owners or whoever talk about this. They're not going to want their license stripped for serving to underage kids, even though I'm sure this happens in college towns everywhere. But even so, I think that we hear a lot of silence because of that. And then, sorry, I always pick the broke lighter when I go live. And I gotta light it 15 times. But anyway, so I think that just looking at all of this, Nancy Grace graced us with her analysis that Xena and Ethan were killed first. And then we have Kaylee's dad saying, "Come on, let's cut to it, you guys. He didn't have to go to the third floor." I don't know how to take what Kaylee's dad says. I like Kaylee's dad. I feel like he is on a warpath to get justice for his daughter. Not speaking out about this man, okay? But what I'm saying is when he was like, he didn't have to go to the third floor. Are you saying that it's potentially Xena and Ethan that were the victims and this guy didn't even have to do this to your daughter? Like, why? Is that how you're saying it? Or are you saying, and let's be real here, my daughter and Maddie or one of them or both of them were the targets because this person didn't have to go to the third floor. And then another thing, in that TikTok video, I'm telling you, I analyzed the heck out of it. And Dylan, who is one of the surviving roommates, she was the last person to imitate someone on this TikTok, and she imitated Xena. And what she said was, "Hey guys, is it okay if I have a party? Like, I'll only bring like 3 or 4 people tops." And she said it like funny, sarcastically, like, Xena does this, like she has parties and she's like, "Oh, I'll just bring 3 or 4 people." But at most, like, yeah, right. Like it turns into something more than that. So that just made me think like, Xena is described as so friendly, as knowing everyone and all of that sort of thing. So if her and Ethan were out at a bar, is it possible that they invited people home with them? Is it possible that a person or persons that were having these, because I'm going to tell you from the killer and what the killers has done is just pure rage. It's hatred. There's an element of jealousy in there. And this is my own speculation, okay? But what I feel from this person is just this jealousy. There's some sort of jealousy that like these people are better than me, or I wanted to be like them, or I can't stand them because they are what I wanted to be, but I'm not. But I hate them because they are. I feel this jealousy from this killer. It's there, this hatred. And when the police say this was targeted, but we're unsure if it's an actual person in the house or the house itself, that makes perfect sense to me. Because I understand that they're saying we're just really not sure if it was a specific person or the house. The house meaning all of them, what they represented, what they were. You have these very attractive young college students that are in these sororities and fraternities, and they seem to be the cool party kids. And if you're not in that clique or you weren't accepted into that world with them, then you might hate them or dislike them or be jealous of them. And that's really the vibes that I get from whoever these killers are. And that's just my gut feel about this person. I feel a ton of hate. Hate, 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 hate. I hate who you are. I hate what you represent. So I'm just wondering, with Xena being so friendly, she's just described that way over and over. Friendly, 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 knew everyone. I think even Maddie's boyfriend said that he knew Xena before Maddie. So She seems to be very, very social. I think one of the surviving roommates said about Xena that they knew that if Xena was there, if she was at the house and they were partying, that it was going to be a fun time. So, Buffalo, so do you think there's one or two killers? Thank you. I'm not sure. I don't know. I really don't know. Nobody knows, actually. I don't think, actually, especially if two of them were passed out. They listen, the video of Kaylee and Maddie at the food truck. Okay. Yes, I saw Hoodie Guy. Yes, I know about Jack Stalwart. Yes, I do think it looks sus as hell. I really do. I can't say it doesn't, but I just want to talk about their intoxication levels for a minute. Okay. It was very evident, you watch this video, you definitely see Maddie stumble. You see her sway. She's clearly intoxicated. Kaylee, everyone said, Kaylee doesn't look as intoxicated. Well, I would implore you to watch a little further, watch a little harder. Kaylee seems to be a little heavier than Maddie, obviously. And I think she was able to steady herself better. But when you watch it with a very close eye to Maddie, or I'm sorry, Kaylee, and just keep your eye on Kaylee the entire time, you will see the same. I saw it, just the little stumble, the little step to the side there. It was there, but I think she was just holding her ground a little better than the much thinner, swayer Maddie. Maddie was just very drunk. And then I heard, the I don't know what they're calling him, but the guy that was talking to Hoodie Guy when he came out with his TikTok video or TikTok, and he was saying his thoughts. He was saying that he thought that, Maddie was the only one that appeared drunk to him. But I watched that video like 1,000 times, and I can see it in Kaylee as well, that they're both just intoxicated. So one killer is potential. It is a high potential. Um, Ethan and Xena being the first victims, Ethan would obviously be the person you're going to go after first. He's the person that's going to put up the most fight, being a younger male, as opposed to, very females, very girly females. He's going to put up the most fight. So you kill him first. You kill Xena second because she's still awake. Why this killer went upstairs to do that to Kaylee and Maddie is a giant question mark in my head. When I heard no sexual assault with this case, my brain just said, oh, we are dealing with something very different here. If this involved no sexual assault, this is something very different. This is hatred. This is jealousy. This is envy. This is rage. Point blank, period. Hate crime, if you want to call it that, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to call it that, because it very much is that. This killer, without getting anything out of it, meaning, there was no sexual assault, so he didn't get any sexual gratification from this. So the gratification had to come from the killing itself. Why would someone do that? They have to have an extraordinarily, large amount of hate or dislike or jealousy towards these particular types of people. So that's why, when law enforcement talks about the house being targeted, I understand. And with this being a party house, again, there were probably most likely a lot of people. They seemed like very happy, well-adjusted girls. I think they were trusting with a lot of people. They all had different sets of friends, different groups of friends. They were all friends. So, I think there were quite a few people in and out of that house. Oh, hi, Tamara. Guys, I haven't, sorry. I'm just now looking at chat. I'm sorry. I was going on. Robbie, Ethan looks different. Every single photo I see him in, he does look different. It's weird. Tamara, hi, Buffalo girl. In my opinion, I think there's a big possibility it's 2 killers, 1 for each floor. Robbie, yep, this is psycho. Tamara, guys, my internet is lagging, so if I'm in and out, sorry in advance. You're fine, Bill. I hope your internet is good. Yes, this person probably definitely most likely suffers from psychopathy, sociopathy, those types of things. I don't feel like there's a lot of remorse there for what this person did. And I do feel like this person will do it again. Maybe not right away, but you don't have a killer of this magnitude or killers because, again, we do not know. And just to answer the question, I'm just going to say I don't know. That is my best answer to you because it could very well be 2 people, could very well be 1 person. I guess the case I'll make for 1 person is just people that have really extreme beliefs or really extreme thoughts, especially ones that, are angry thoughts, are capable of unimaginable things. So that's the only case I'll make for that. But I really don't know if it's 1 or 2 killers. With the car situation, we saw body cam footage. If you guys have not watched that, there's been body cam footage that was released. And you can see the house in the background. And there's been this great debate over whether it is car lights because the video was shot at 3:01 a.m. The murders are projected to have been committed between 3 and 4 a.m. And it appears that there are lights moving away from the house. I think I'm going to have an unpopular opinion here. I don't think they were lights. I watched it. I feel like everybody's seeing something different, honestly. But to me, I took into account that the person is moving. So the video is constantly moving. You're going back and forth, get a little dizzy watching this video. But the light appears to go out. I don't feel like this is a car. You don't see it anywhere else. You don't see the lights anywhere else. So I just don't feel like this is a car. I feel like this was a bedroom light that was turned out. That's what I think. That's my opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's totally fine. You put your theory or why you think that is. I have no problem with that because at this point, again, this is pure speculation. We really just do not know. Law enforcement is being so close to the vest with this, and I'm glad that they are. I absolutely think that they should be. I do feel sorry for the families because, they want answers. They want to know what happened to their loved ones, and I would want to know as well. But for the investigation, it's best that they do this. I wanted to watch Ethan's parents really quick. Let me just make sure that the screen is sharing because in the past, I have thought I was sharing an entire screen and I was not. So let me just make sure real fast. Thought I was sharing an entire screen. Oh, yep, there's me. Okay, good. So it is sharing. Let me just play this real quick with Ethan's parents.
Was Ethan Chapin. His parents say they're devastated and they're still trying to process what happened.
As Connor Ward from our sister station King 5 in Seattle reports, they're remembering Ethan as someone who had a love for life and a love for others.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
A call talking about your son who is now gone is not as hard as the call Stacy and Jim Chapin received earlier this week.
We're just trying to process it. It's not a call that you think that you're going to have to speak with the funeral home directors, the FBI, and have it hit national news.
They received the call their son Ethan Chapin had been killed. They got the call from their other kids. Ethan was a triplet, all so close.
Ethan was a triplet. Let me just stop right there with that because here's Ethan, obviously with the Vandals shirt on, his triplet sister in the middle, and then his brother Hunter with the Idaho shirt on. It's been rumored. I do not know if this is true or not. I don't think anyone knows if it's true or not except the people that were there. But it's been rumored that Hunter was one of the people that the surviving roommates called. which is really odd to me. I don't know about that rumor, because if you saw someone, obviously there was blood. Would you call his triplet brother? I don't know that you would call them. I mean, maybe in a state of shock, you didn't know what to do. I don't know. I don't know how well known Hunter was to the other roommates, but it is rumored that he was called by them prior to the police being called, and that he came. So again, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I feel like for the roommates that were surviving, that maybe they weren't thinking if it's true, but that would be an odd call. I would think that you would call the cops, but either way, moving on.
Close, they even went to college together.
We have these other two kids that are very impacted by this, and they need to be lifted up and cared for.
They say Ethan was the comedian of the family. He was a lover of country music and sports. What did Ethan like to do?
Anything. You name it, he played it, literally. I think we just watched a thing from the university, spikeball champion, volleyball champion. I mean, he literally would play and do anything.
They say this investigation and attention has been overwhelming, and they wanted to clarify what they say is misinformation floating around.
The things that are being said are 100% not true. There's not drugs involved. There's not some weird love triangle. Ethan was stayed the night at his girlfriend's house, who was one of 5 girls who lived in the home.
They say
And with her saying that there's no love triangle or anything like that. Again, like, is it possible? I assume that it would be that, with Xena being so friendly, just a friendly person, making a ton of friends. Again, she's been described that way over and over. Did they say to some people at the bar that they maybe met, or that they already knew? Like, yeah, like, come back to the house, we'll have some drinks, or we'll carry the party over back to the house. Is it possible that something happened there? Did just a couple people come back or something like that? I don't know what it is, and I could be so wrong, but I just feel like something with Ethan and Xena, not between the two of them, but an outside person. I feel like something happened. I don't know why I can't shake that feeling. And again, I just feel like all of the attention, or a lot of it, is placed upon Kaylee and Maddie because of their appearance. And am I calling people shallow? Kind of, yes. Because, you see these two beautiful young blonde girls, and your eye just goes to them. And you instantly think they had to be the targets. They're young, they're beautiful. Some crazy man targeted them. But again, there was no SA. There was no R word. There was none of that. So I feel like it's really up in the air of who was targeted or what was targeted. Was it their lifestyle? Was it just their way that, oh, look at these party kids, look at this girl, look at these girls, or look at these people, they're just living in this little college house. They think they're so cool, or, and they're not. And they're, I hate them. I hate them all being here. The town and gown thing has definitely been talked about a lot. It is a legitimate thing. It does happen. It's definitely not unheard of. So, hey guys. Yeah, Mary. Hi, Mary. Call cops first. Why didn't the girls? I don't know. I will say this, Mary. The only thing that I thought about with that was
his girlfriend, Xana Kernodle, was one of the other victims, and that they were in the same room in the house. Ethan's parents say they just saw him last weekend at the University of Idaho's Parents' Weekend and felt so proud and at ease.
As we pulled out of Moscow, we literally were like, we've done it. We've literally done it as parents. We've created 3 incredible humans that will go on.
But now the future looks much different, and Ethan's future on. Their focus is now on supporting Ethan's 2 other siblings and keeping Ethan's light alive.
If everybody was like Ethan Chapin in this world, it would be a better place.
I really love that his mom said that. If everybody was like Ethan, this world would be a better place. I have a child that I very much feel like that about. His name is Austin, and he's just such a great kid. He's a good man. He turned 18 last month. But he's just such a great person. So I understand what she's saying. But Mary, again, to get back to your question, why did call the cops first? Why didn't the girls? I had my own apartment when I was 19. I was SA'd by a coworker that had come to my house previously. Many times, actually. He was no stranger to my house. One day he showed up, middle of the day. I was a server. Again, I was 19 years old, so I was a server at a restaurant. We kept weird hours. I didn't have to be at work till 4:30, 5 o'clock. So 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm sitting at home watching Price is Right or something. But he came to my door. Long story short, came to my door. I opened the door. I let him in. Of course, I knew him. I worked with him. And hang on, Jim. But he essayed me, and I didn't call the cops first. The first person I called was another coworker. So hang on a sec. What's up, Jim?
I've heard this story before. What Hooters were you working at the time that your manager showed up?
Don't make light of my essay, please. Don't make light of it. It's not
what
something.
Where were you working? Waffle House?
Actually, I worked at TGI Fridays. Why are you laughing? What are you laughing about? I was not thanking God that it was Friday that day. Why are you laughing? Jim, I am seriously about to hang up and I'm not in the mood for your shit right now.
Go ahead and tell me what happened.
I just did. You were playing instead of listening. Now you're literally laughing at my sexual assault story. But the point of the story. He was older than me. I was only 19. Most people I worked with were my age, like 19, 20, whatever. He was older. He was like early 30s. And he had come to my house. I had my own apartment. He had come over with the rest of my coworkers and partied it up and had our drinks and smoked our pot and shit like that. So he was
happened bad after that. Go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, these were my coworkers. I seen them every day. I see them all the time. So they became like my close friends. So this was a guy that came to my house quite often. Not often, but often enough. He was no stranger. So when he came before work, knocked on my door, he wanted to use my phone. We didn't have cell phones like that then. We had phones on the wall. And he wanted to use the phone. I had no problem. Let him in. And yeah, I got my,
What did he do to you?
No, I don't really want to go into that.
Was he an attractive guy, or was he like an old guy, like 60s?
Not attractive at all. Not that matters, but no. But it doesn't matter. When you don't want to do something with a person. Did
you see his wiener?
Jim, I gotta go. You know what? I didn't think you drink, but I feel like you're drunk right now.
Does he have
I think you're drunk. I think that's the first time we've ever heard Jim be drunk ever. Because I think Jim's actually drunk. Jim, don't call me back. Don't call me back. I'm not talking to you right now. So, but anyway. And Jim wonders why I call him a narcissist. This is why. This is why I call Jim a narcissist. So, but anyway. There are other things that I want to show. So this is, let me make sure my screen is sharing. But yeah, Mary, that is the answer to the question, is just that I didn't call either. I didn't call the cops. I actually called my coworker. That was one of my best friends at the time. So I don't know why. And I was in a state of shock. I was in a state of shock. I mean, this just happened to me. I just couldn't believe that this person would do something like this. Not a person I would think would do anything like this ever. So it's just, I don't know. People do weird things, I think, when traumatic things happen to them. So I can't really answer for these girls, but I think sometimes we look for the most familiar thing, or the thing that we feel like is going to comfort us right then. And the cops are just, they're the cops, but they're not your friend. They're not somebody who's going to be like, oh my God, and share in this crazy moment with you and have all this compassion, be there for you. So I don't know. Maybe that's why. But either way, I'm going to play this part of this, because this is Xena's family. I think what her sister said was very, very sweet. And then her father and then her Aunt Kim are all going to talk. And we are going to see that, Xena did not always live with her parents. She was partially raised by her Aunt Kim. And so, again, this is why I think, Xena was a little bit more mature and stuff like that. And maybe was able to navigate through, meeting other people and just being friendly and stuff like that. I do not think that Xena obviously lived as sheltered a life as Kaylee and Maddie. So, however that fits in, it does. But here we go. So here's Xena's dad.
I'm Xana's sister. First, I want to thank you all for coming. It's really nice to see so many familiar faces and so many people that had so much love for Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Madison. Xana was such a light in my life and so many others. She was a person I could relate to the most, and she knew and understood me more than anyone. Losing her is the hardest thing I've ever had to go through, and it has left me heartbroken. Xana was the funniest person I knew and made me laugh every time I spent time with her. I have so many memories and stories I could share about her, but I know remembering the times I had with her brings me so much joy and happiness. Everyone thought we were twins growing up, and I remember in some of our last moments together, we were in her room laughing in the mirror because neither of us thought we looked alike, and her friends just laughed. She was my baby sister, but she was so much wiser and experienced so much more in life than I ever have. She never let an opportunity pass her by and enjoyed all the moments she had. She was always doing something fun, and in any situation, it was always so much more fun with Xana there. I remember I would get so mad because I always thought my friends liked her more than me, but she was a person that everyone enjoyed being around. She was so positive and lighthearted and understood the gift of life more than anyone I know. I remember her getting so mad at me for caring about the little things that didn't matter. She would always tell me she wouldn't know what to do without me, and now I have to live this life without her. I know she would want me to cherish the times I have with the people I love. She would want me to make the most out of every situation. She would want me to have fun, continue my journey in life, and constantly tell people how much I love them and they mean to me. I remember going to hang out with her about a couple months ago. I remember telling her that we should try to do a sister date every week to spend more time with each other before I graduated. I remember her loving the idea, and her friend Ella reached out to me and told me that Xana was so happy that we were going to start doing that. I love her so much, and I wish I would have spent more time with her and had the chance to continue spending time with her. I know she loved living in her house in Moscow with her friends. I would hear so many stories about her and her roommates, and it made me so happy to know she had such great friendships. She really knew everyone and was friends with everyone. She had the best friend group and had friends in so many different sororities, fraternities, and organizations. I was so happy she was dating Ethan, and Ethan was such an amazing person. Xana never had a boyfriend before, and my dad and I wondered if she was ever going to get one. Ethan was that special, though, because I know she was picky with boys. They were always so happy, and the way she would talk and smile about him was something I've never seen her do before. She truly loved him so much, and I know he had so much love for her. They had something so special, and everyone around them knew. It's comforting to know that they're all watching down on us from heaven now. Casey Johnson is a best friend of ours, and her mother, Susie Graham, was like a mom to us. Susie had a long fight with breast cancer and unfortunately passed away last year. Casey texted me a couple weeks ago saying, "I know Xana isn't alone up there in heaven. I feel my mom in the sunshine, and yesterday the sun went through my window and fell right on her urn. I think that's her way of telling me that she's got Xana and that she's made it up there to heaven." That gave me a little bit of peace, and I want to share that with you. This text made me so happy and helped comfort me a lot. I know they're all in the best place together, and one day we will all be reconnected. I'm so thankful for faith, friendships, and family through this and everything else. Xana, you will not be forgotten. You have impacted so many lives and have given people so much love. I hope I can make you proud and try to leave an impact on this world and on people like you did. I love you so much, Xana, and I hope you're feeling the most happy, content, and loved in heaven right now.
It's heartbreaking. So this is Xana's dad.
I'm Jeff and Xana's dad, and I think that Jasmine pretty much said it all. Everything needs to be said except for, we're going to miss her. We're going to miss her more than anybody knows, and I know a lot of you.
Just as a side note, Xana's dad, Xana looks just like him. Like, I can see her face. Like, if you look at his eyes and stuff, she looks a lot like him.
People, the ones who know her, are going to be right there with us. It's going to be a tough road. That kid, she's shown light to the day when you see her, and she taught me a lot of stuff. She taught me how to be a dad, and I didn't know that until she was gone. You know, it's like, Xana, you taught me something. I didn't know that. She's like, she really became the woman that she was going to become. You know, the last weekend I saw her, which was a week before that, she was taking care of the house. She was taking care of things. She took my keys from me.
Yeah, and see, her dad is talking here about the maturity level again that he saw in her. You know, she was taking care of the house. She was, you know, taking care of her things. I feel like this was a big, like, at this point in Xana's life, was a big leveling up, maturing time in her life. I just feel like that's where she was. Kaylee and Maddie just feel like, to me, like, just what we've heard of them and stuff, that they were still coming into their own. I just feel like Xena was much more mature for some reason. Well, for a lot of reasons, but let's get to Aunt Kim, because Xena's Aunt Kim really touched my heart. She really did.
Said, you had too much to drink, Dad. You can't drive. What's your regular deal? She was being the mom.
So yeah, he's even saying here, you know, like, she told me, like, you can't drive. You've had too much to drink. So she's even starting to parent her parent. So, you know.
To all the kids and the girls, and I was really happy to see her there happy. That's what I remember that weekend, is her being happy with the other girls, taking care of stuff. The house was beautiful, taking care of everybody. Everything was just about as good as it ever could have been in my picture as a parent. When it was going on U of I, good grades. So I can remember that. Doesn't make it better, but it makes it a little bit easier. You know, to know that it wasn't like it was, you know, there was issues, because there wasn't. We'll never know. So, anyways, that's all I got, and thanks everybody for coming. And,
So here comes Aunt Kim.
Thanks, everyone,
Jim,
for
stop. I'm not answering.
My name is Kim, and I am Xana's aunt. And I'm going to give you my testimony today. At first, when we heard of the news, I was so angry that she was taking away all these special people. And you never think it's going to happen to your family. And then I had to sit back through my tears and realize that I really was blessed. I was fortunate to have Xana live with me for a couple years. And the memories I want to share are funny. My kids were grown, and I had Jasmine and Xana for a while. And I'll never forget the time. I go into the bathroom. I don't know if you remember this. And she found my Crisco. And she wiped it all over her body like it was body lotion. Everywhere, all over the bathroom. Thank goodness there's Simple Green. Needless to say, I just thought, I couldn't believe it, you know, how you do. And another fond memory I have is we'd go to bed at night, and I lived in a house that the floor would squeak. And Jasmine would go, "Hey, Kim, Xana won't go to bed." And she's keeping me up. So I get out of bed, and our floor would creak, and you could hear her little feet run to bed. And after a while, it became a game. I never even went to check on her. All I had to do was get up, and she'd hear the floor creak. And then she became a teenager, and I saw less of her. But I do have the fond memory of her calling me. She still called me then and said, "Hey, Kim, it's the prom or a dance. Can we go get our nails done?" So I have those beautiful memories to share of going with her to get our nails done. And then she went off to college. And I don't know, I heard less and less. Once in a while, she'd text me back, but not too often. And I know she was busy with her life. I mean, you know, we were all that age once. And then I heard that she found Ethan and fell in love. And at that point, I thought to myself that I'm so glad she found love, because we all really don't know what love is until we love. And as short as her life was, I'm glad she got to have that experience. And through all this, like, I had a whole bunch of stuff in my mind, but through all this, I hope we can all look through that dark tunnel and see the light and follow that light. And I pray that we have justice someday. I say these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
So, again, her family really expresses that having a boyfriend to Xana was a very big deal. A very, very big deal. And this is not something that she normally did. So finding Ethan for her was a huge deal. And I think, I don't know, you guys, like, do you think this is a possible theory that they could have had like a party after the party? After the bar, you go back to the house and you party some more. When you're in college, you do that because they all were home, for college kids at least, at a fairly decent hour, 1:45 to 1:52 or 56, somewhere in there. That's a fairly decent time for college kids. They're in bed, all asleep. I don't, Ethan, I think, it's been revealed that Ethan was killed in the kitchen. So obviously he was not in the bed. But Pink is saying someone wrote about Ethan's satellite being turned upside down. I saw that. Pink. Yes, I did. I think I screenshot that. It's very weird. I wonder if this guy's a cable guy or works for Dish Network or something. He writes notes like the Zodiac Killer. Hey, Jess, how are you, hon? Good to see you. Yeah. You know what, Pink? This case is so huge because I've seen a ton of Ted Bundy references and things like that, and I can see it. I can see it. It's there. There's just elements of serial killer vibes, hatred towards a specific type of person, a specific type of people. And I don't know. I'm very hung up on the fact that I feel like the house itself was the target. I don't know that it was any one person. I just wonder, because, there's so much speculation about, did this person come in on foot or did they come by car? If they came by car, that driveway that goes up and behind the house, which if you haven't seen that, you can go to the interview room. Chris McDonough, he does a good job of showing you the area. But you could go up there with a car. But I'm just wondering, like, is it possible that they were let in, or that the person was let into the house? That maybe they didn't break in. I know that they were saying like the back door or the window was and most likely the back door was the exit and entry points. But I don't know. I seen evidence tape on the window and on the back door, like on the door itself, on the window itself, evidence tape. So I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like without knowing their timelines, we can't put together a timeline. You know what, Jim? I'm going to tell you now that if you act in an untoward manner, I will not speak to you again. There's your warning. You didn't hear me? I am telling you that if you act in an untoward manner, that I will not speak to you again.
I feel bad. No, I feel bad.
Okay.
I thought you were joking. That's
No.
my. I went to a pizza place when I was in high school, and it was called Chuck E. Cheese, and Chuck E. Cheese gave me a hand job in the break room one time.
Really? So are you coming out to the world, or was it a male? Oh, he hung up. Oh, so I have to block Jim now. Okay. Well, everybody gets their moment. No, Jim. Like, I'm literally blocking you as we speak. Right now. So back to these. Hang on, I have to block Jim. Because clearly you don't know how to act like an adult, Jim. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with you today, but you're being a dickhead. So I'm not in the mood for that. When people are talking about sexual assault, Jim, and shit like that, it's just, we're not in a joking mood necessarily. Clearly, this is a stream about a true crime case. So if you can't hold it together, you just can't, then just don't call me. Don't call me. You can tell when I'm on a show and I'm cracking up or I'm caring about and we're just talking about anything. And you want to crack your little inappropriate jokes. Or we're talking about a serious crime. Come on, grow up. Grow up. Yeah, it must have been a male. It must have been Chuck E. Cheese. Jim Terry. You know what? I would do that as a members only. Have Jim with Chuck E. Cheese. Hilarious. Anyway. Midwest crappy man, Jim Terry again. Yeah. Are you kidding me? I'm done with this channel. Oh, you're done with me. I didn't do anything. Jim is harassing me, if you can't tell. I'm sorry. I thought it was going to be a good thing, but every time I come on here, he's here ruining things. I am done. Sorry. Okay, well, I'm sorry as well. But, you hear Jim just calling my phone relentlessly. So, and, here's the thing, Jim. Like, you have been on other channels, bro. You have other channels, way bigger channels that will get you attention, all that kind of thing. Go on those channels. They let you on there. Like, go on there. Why do you need to harass me? You don't. So don't do that. But back to Ethan and Xena. Because there was a couple other videos that I had pulled up. Ethan chat. Oh, you guys. If you guys did not see, let's see what video this is. If you guys did not see the News Nation, they did like an extended Nate Eaton. Hang on, I want to pull this up. I thought I had it up. Yeah, so they did like an in-depth look at the murders. It was really good. I don't know if you guys have watched it or not. If you haven't, I do recommend if you're interested in this crime. But there were a couple things, and now this was one of the videos that I got rid of that I didn't mean to. But anyway, I'm going to share my screen. Let me just make sure on my phone that I'm sharing it. Yeah, it looks like I am, yeah. Okay, so go away. I take the chat down so you guys can see it better. Lead with love. Talking about a kid's venue and receiving an H job is not okay. Jim Terry, question mark. He's pushing your buttons and should appreciate you. Not cool. Exactly. It's not. And nobody has time for this. You have people that are like, I'm out of here because I don't want to deal with this. So again, if you're too immature to decipher a real stream from a playful stream, then, read the room. It's not hard. That's why I want to get a tattoo of read the room, because people they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. I don't know what's wrong with them. Like, it's something wrong with your brain. You okay? I don't think they aren't. But anyway, so we're going to play this. So this is 42 minutes long. Again, if you have not watched this, I highly recommend. We are not going to watch this entire thing. But I had some timestamps on here that I really wanted to show. And unfortunately, it was one of the videos that I took down that I didn't think I needed to show. So we'll go through it quickly until we get to the parts. But okay.
Moment, 1 minute, one night, for lives to be turned upside down. lost 4 beautiful souls.
The hardest part, we cannot change the outcome.
For a quiet college campus to become a crime scene.
This could be anybody. It could be anybody.
What do you say to the students who are scared? I'm scared too. And for a killer to seemingly vanish in the middle of the night. There is a threat out there still. It's all hands on deck for investigators, racing to retrace steps, comb through evidence, and stop this case from going cold. Break open your time. Because it only takes one clue, one slip up, one tip. Somebody somewhere has information about this case to end the nightmare. We owe this to these young kids. Idaho Murder Mystery, the news station special report, starts right now.
Here's one thing you need to do before you start your holiday shopping.
Ah,
Spend another
freaking
dime
ads.
on Amazon.
All right, hang on.
Watch this first.
Good evening, I'm Brian Enton, live in Moscow, Idaho, for this news station special report. 3 weeks ago, the unthinkable happened in this house behind me. 4 university students brutally murdered here. Their killer not only is still on the run, but still all of this remains a mystery 3 weeks later. And we have breaking news tonight. New details that we have just confirmed. News Nation is learning that Kaylee Gonzalez's injuries were significantly more brutal than her best friend Maddie's injuries, which may end up being a very, very...
Yeah, I want to talk about that just for a second, that Kaylee's injuries were significantly more brutal. I have to wonder if this is because Kaylee really fought back. She looked frame-wise, I don't want to talk about her body like that, but I'm just talking about frame-wise. She looked sturdy. You know, she looked like a person that could give a little bit of a fight back. So I'm wondering if her injuries were more brutal because of that fact. If she didn't have defensive wounds, then I would definitely say that she was the main target, or the main thing, the epitome of the thing this person despised or hated. So carrying on.
very important piece of evidence when it comes to determining who the target was in this attack. I have learned Kaylee and Maddie were in an upstairs room in the house, so the killer had to go specifically upstairs to get to them. And again, that new information just confirmed that Kaylee's injuries were, quote, significantly more brutal. That is new information that we are going to analyze coming up over the next hour. All of this really is a nightmare for this town, a nightmare that they just cannot wake up from. Over the next hour, we are going to be diving into all of the details of this case, learning more about the victims and their families, trying to make sense of this unimaginable loss here in Idaho. We're going to go take you around the crime scene, show you what it looks like, as well as an exclusive look at the Idaho State Crime Lab, and we're going to remain focused throughout all of this on the victims and their family. To try and understand how we got to this point, first, we go back to the beginning. Moscow, Idaho, a beautiful, quiet college town near the border with Washington State, blanketed in snow this time of year, and home to the University of Idaho, with 11,000 students who have almost never had a reason not to feel safe.
Worst crimes we see in county roll.
Okay, and I want to talk about what Nate Eaton just said. Never had a reason to feel unsafe. Well, that's just simply not true. There was a young man, and I'm trying to remember the channel that it was on. Somebody posted this. I want to say it was Crime Stories Obsessed. She might have reposted it. I want to say it was on her channel. So if you go to her community tab, it might be on there. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I can't remember exactly. But there was a young man that was, and this is so eerie. This happened in May of this year. He was photographed behind the house next door to the victims. So in the background is their house. That is the background, is their house. And I guess he was photographed. The person that was in the picture with him, there was a guy and a girl. The guy was the president of the fraternity that they were both in. I guess this fraternity, Ethan Chapin was also a part of, allegedly. But this boy, the next day, he was found in a creek, and they said it was an accidental drowning. I guess it was right after this ball that the fraternity had. Maddie went, Xena went. Who was the other person? Ethan, I believe. Ethan, Maddie, and I want to say Xena were the 3 people that attended this ball. And then the next day, this young man was found in a creek dead, and they said it was an accidental drowning. So it's not that this place has not seen death. It's that they haven't quite seen murder or quadruple murder. A quadruple murder anywhere in any scenario is going to be a huge thing. Whether it's college students, a family, that is a significant number of people to be targeted. And it does. I just flashes of Ted Bundy just repeatedly play in my mind because this is what he did. He went into sororities, he went into places, he just murdered everyone. So it just gives off that kind of vibe that there's something wrong with this killer regardless, but there's I feel like there's something in this person's mind that just there's hatred. I don't know what the hatred is, but there's just hatred for just who they are. Like do you guys know groups of people or certain types of people that you just can't stand them? I can't stand the way they think, the way they talk, the way they act, blah blah blah. I don't like them. I feel like this is this killer, but times 100, where the dislike, where normal people would say, I don't really like that group of people. Don't care for them, don't like them, don't associate with them. I'm just going to stay away from them. This person has taken this hate, this dislike to just a completely different level where it's pure hatred and to a level where it had to be acted upon or something. And I could be way off, but this is just what I feel from this.
Things like bike theft or cars getting keyed or something like that were nice little cards you found that provide a great quality of life to a lot of people. But what happened in the early morning hours of November 13th has shaken this community like never before.
I'm scared too. It's a worrying time, but we also have the ability to understand that this is just another example that crime happens and it can happen anywhere.
Fear. College community still in shock following the brutal stabbings of 4 of their students. So many asking, how did this happen? We start on the evening of Saturday, November 12th. Haley Gonzalez and Madison Logan, where many college students spend their Saturday nights. At this local bar, corner club on North Main Street in downtown Moscow. According to local law enforcement, the two were at the bar between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th. At around 1:40 a.m., Haley and Madison moved over to a local food truck. You can see them here on surveillance video from the club truck down the street on South Main Street.
Oh, and can I just say with the grub truck video, I really didn't know this. I don't know why. I'm an airhead sometimes. I think I'm like a closet blonde. But I said to Tyler, I watched this video. I've watched this video a lot, actually. But one of the first times I watched it, I was like, gosh, this is some of the most clearest surveillance video I've ever seen. This is really clear. And you can hear the audio and all of that. I did not know it was a Twitch stream. But that wasn't weird to me because Tyler and I, we take the kids, or we've taken the kids several times to Virginia to this indoor water park. And they have this, it's like this wave runner thing, and it's really high pressured water, and you're on these skim boards. And they were Twitch streaming it, and they said that they couldn't understand why they had such a high volume of people, that they just had so many people watching that they thought, wow, people really want to come and try this out. They really like this. What they were not realizing is that the water was so high pressured that some of the people, some of the guys, it was literally taking their shorts completely off. Some of the women lost their tops to their bathing suits. If they had bikinis on, they lost their bottoms. So people caught on to this, and they were watching this Twitch stream constantly. So when that big guy, I think he's way over here on this side right now, but the guy in the brown, the heavier set guy that was talking to JS, hoodie guy, Jack Smolton, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But yeah, when he said, they Twitch stream it because it's an interesting crowd and people watch. I'm a people watcher. So when one of the people at the indoor water park, one of the workers was telling me about this, I was laughing so hard. So when I watched this, when I watched him say that, I was like, that makes sense. You have a bunch of drunk younger people or people just coming all in, cops, all the kinds of things. Like, you never know what people are going to say or do. It's probably really funny, and people do tune into it. Anyway, back to the stream.
News Nation has confirmed the two women used a private party for a ride home from downtown to their home on King Road. The home is about a mile and a half, or about a 6-minute drive from the food truck. They got home around 1:56 a.m., according to digital evidence collected by investigators. Investigators also say Kaylee and Madison made several calls to an ex-boyfriend of one of the girls 7 times, raising some eyebrows. That person has now been cleared, according to law enforcement. Kaylee Gonzalez's sister spoke with News Nation to Chris Cuomo.
There's no boy problem. There's no threat. There's no high-risk lifestyle that could have indicated this. It has taken all of us completely by shock, and we have absolutely no ideas.
I love Montana, but I'm doing this for our family.
They will fight you dirty.
Is there any other way?
Ruin them, starting with her.
Oops, sorry.
Sign for this is a declaration of war.
Another roommate, Xana Kernodle, and her boyfriend, Ethan Xena, were also out the night of November 12th. Investigators confirmed Ethan and Xana were seen at the Sigma Chi fraternity house on the University of Idaho campus. Here's where things get a little shaky. Law enforcement confirms with News Nation, Ethan and Xana were seen at the fraternity house around 9 p.m. They reportedly made it back home around 1:45 a.m. Investigators are still trying to piece together what happened between 9 p.m. and 1:45 a.m.
Who they were with, what was going on, maybe any routes or paths that they took to end up coming home, those types of things. Potentially, that is critical to the investigation.
I just want to go back, and I'm going to slow that down because that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about here. So let me just go back a little bit right there, and we're going to replay this. I want to hear what they're saying about Ethan and Xena, and I want to listen to the investigator, what he is saying. It's important to this entire thing.
Who they were with, what was going on, maybe any routes or paths that they took to end up going home, those types of things. Potentially, that is critical to the investigation.
Potentially, it's part of the investigation, and I think it absolutely is. What paths they took home. I just want to listen to that one more time. Sorry, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I just want to listen to that one more time.
With what was going on, maybe any routes or paths that they took to end up going home, those types of things. Potentially, that is critical to the investigation.
Critical to the investigation.
As for the two surviving roommates, they were also out on the night of November 12th in the Moscow community. They returned home by 1 a.m. The two surviving roommates did not wake up until later in the morning on November 13th. That is when they called other friends to the house.
I'm just going to say now, do I think Dylan is a little different? Sure. But Bethany, one of the roommates was said to have passed out, that somebody called 911 because she had passed out. I feel like that was probably Bethany. Just watching her on the TikTok videos and things like that, she seems to be the one to me that would pass out. Dylan, I think Dylan's very wild. I just get that from her, that she's really wild, and I don't mean that in a bad way. People can be wild and not bad at all. I think she's just really free-spirited, I guess. There have been rumors that she was out, 4 days after the murders, partying. I'm a person that does not believe that these roommates had anything to do with this quadruple murder. I think that people deal with things in all kinds of ways. Dylan very much, to me, fits the profile of a person that would deal with it in a way of, I am going to party and not think about this. I just want this off of my mind right now, and I'm just going to party and not think about this right now. I feel like she's that kind of person. But that's just me speculating. Anyway, back to this.
Because they believed one of the second floor victims had passed out and was not waking up. At 11:58 a.m. on November 13th, a 911 call requested aid for an unconscious person. The call was made from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones inside the residence. Multiple people talked with the 911 dispatcher before Moscow police arrived at the home. Officers discovered Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan dead inside the residence on the second and third floors of the home, suffering from stab wounds.
It was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. They were definitely stabbings, and it has to be somebody that's pretty angry in order to stab 4 people to death.
And there it is, them saying this has to be somebody that was pretty angry. Yes, anger is written all over this killers. I really, I don't know. Somebody asked me really early in this live stream if I thought it was killers. I said I didn't know because I don't know. My true speculation would be that it was one person. I feel like this type of rage, well, I don't know. I mean, you do have Dylan and what's his name? Eric Harris. Dylan Klebold, Eric Harris. They acted as a team of hatred. Yeah, it could be a team. It could be a team. I don't know. I lean towards one person, but definitely could be a team. Either way, whatever, a team or a single person, just I think that the greatest thing is the anger, is the hatred, is the rage. And whoever, these people are obviously not just going to be isolated in some, cabin in the middle of the woods somewhere. They obviously come in contact with other human beings. For the people out there in Moscow, or anyone that went to that college or works for that college, if you know these people and you see someone that is really angry and just angry at the world, angry at certain things, or rants about something, or talks about something incessantly, or, really looks down on, people like these 4 college students represented, those are the people that need to talk. Those are the people that need to call in tips and say, hey, I know this guy and his friend, or I know this guy that just really hates college students or really can't stand how they are. He goes on and on about how they messed up the town, or how they behave, how immoral they may be. I've said this before, but I feel like there's something about the morality with this killer, that he looks at the morality of these college students, these young college students, as bad. You're bad. You're out, you're drinking, you're having sex with your boyfriends or girlfriends. I feel like there's half part jealousy of, I wish I could live your life. And then also, you're bad, you're evil for doing that. I don't know. I get that sense from this person, that there's some sort of judgment of these people, when in reality, they're just kind of living their best lives right now. Before the marriage and the kids and all the responsibilities of life hit, they're living their best lives. They're going to school, they have all their friends around them, they're partying it up, they're doing whatever they're doing with their significant others, or even not their significant others, as long as they're being safe. But either way, they're just living their best lives, right? Because that's kind of what they're doing. Do I envy them? Sure, but in a positive way. Like, dang, I wish I could, go back to that time and live that way. But for some reason, I just feel like this killer has unbridled hatred. I feel like that's the way I would describe it. Unbridled hatred. So let me just read some of the comments, and then I'll start playing this again. Andrew is saying, I heard that the neighbor that's now saying he remembers hearing a scream is a chef. Interesting. I'm gonna guess that you. Okay, no, I'm not gonna guess that. That's interesting. Squeaky wheel. I think Kaylee fixing to pack up and leave for a job in Texas played a big role in this. This killer wanted the entire bunch of them, and this was getting close to being his last chance. Okay. I don't know how to pronounce that name. In my Chirado, they had the type of social media that can be overly provocative to some internet crazy. Yeah, I agree. I also agree with Squeaky that could have, a lot of speculation has been put around that. And I will say that with Kaylee's parents and her dad coming out and kind of saying, it doesn't matter who the target is. It doesn't matter who it was. Like, I want to have good relations with these other families. I feel like in a lot of ways he has alluded to it being his daughter. I don't know that he knows that, or if he's thinking that. I'm not really sure. But I will say with Kaylee's situation in particular, recent breakup, longtime boyfriend, moving on with her life, about to graduate. She should have graduated this month. About to move to, a completely different status and start a different life would absolutely be a motive for an ex. But on the flip side of that, we have Kaylee's family firmly standing behind him. Not that we have not seen that in the past and that person still be guilty. We definitely have. Scott Peterson. But we've seen that. Chris Watts. We've seen it. Either way, that night, Kaylee was calling him. Madison's phone, I don't know if that was Kaylee on Madison's phone or that was Madison. I always lean towards it was probably Kaylee grabbing her phone when her phone went dead, calling from her phone, putting her phone on the charger, and then taking her, calling him when her phone turned back on. But either way, there were phone calls made to him. So I don't think that Kaylee was in fear of him. I don't think that Kaylee was scared of him. In fact, she was begging him to answer the phone. Come on, Jack. We share a dog together. Like, good Lord, answer the phone. So in a lot of ways, those types of text messages, I think that's why the police and her family are like, well, obviously he didn't do anything. She's over here begging him to get up and answer the phone and come on, come over, come get the dog or whatever she wanted from him. But to me, her calling him, all those times and her being comfortable, her family said that she would do that. She would call and call and call until you answer. She wasn't giving up. So obviously, I don't think she was in fear of him. I don't think that she feared him in any way. So I don't know, that he doesn't seem to be a suspect. We will have to, does it seem to have the perfect motive? Yes. Yes. It definitely checks all the boxes. But for some reason, and this is just me, you guys have whatever theories you have, because these are all theories. Because again, what law enforcement has actually released is pretty much nothing. It's very, very little. So we're all theorizing at this point. So have whatever theories you have, but I am of the mind that Jack, Kaylee's ex, did not do this. I feel he is a red herring. I think he's a red herring. I think it's someone else. And I get on the fence with, did this person know them? Did this person know of them? Or was this just a blind attack? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. Like I said, I get stuck on the fence about it. I'd love to hear you guys's, your own thoughts on that, because I don't know. It's interesting to me that this person did not go down to the first floor. It's been theorized, they locked their doors. Maybe that's why. You have Xena's dad saying that he went the week before and fixed the locks on her door. That doesn't mean anything necessarily, because Xena could have just not locked her door. Her and Ethan might have been in and out of the kitchen or doing whatever. But I don't know. I feel like this person didn't quite know the entire layout of the house. I feel like maybe they had been there before or something, but I don't feel like they were super familiar. I don't. I feel like they came in that back slider, door. They murdered Ethan. They murdered Xena. And I feel like they went up the stairs. I don't know why, but that's just, I don't know why. Obviously none of us know why, but yeah. Hi, babe. Leave with love. If I was going to label this crime, I'd call it a blitz attack. So you think this was just, done out of nowhere, Leave with love? Just a complete frenzy. In my Toronto, I don't think someone was driving by and said, let me go in that house and see if there's someone to unalive in there. No, obviously, if it was a random attack, and I stay very much on the fence with this. I just can't decide either way. It's such a bizarre attack. But I think Duaro. Okay, I will try to pronounce that right. Sorry. But I don't think so either. I think if it was a person that was unfamiliar with them, that they had most likely been having a lot of fantasies about this for quite some time. They probably, just fantasized about it for quite some time before they actually carried this out. Jim. Oh, Jim's back. Okay. I have my much older 30-year-old boss come over, drink, underage, do drugs with him, illegal. Oh my gosh, here we go. He shows up unannounced, use my phone. What could go wrong? Jim, you know what? Are you like an innocent person in life? Have you just never done a single thing wrong? Never? Were you ever young and you just thought you could trust people, that you worked with them, you went in and punched the clock with them, you did that, they came over to your house and drank and had a good time and went home, and you saw them at work the next day? Did you ever have anything like that? Because I don't know what you're doing, but it's kind of like you're like saying like, yeah, like this is kind of like your fault, like you're a dumbass. At 19, I probably was. Does that make it right? Does that make it good that they're okay? That not good, but okay that somebody would do that? No. I mean, come on, man. Be realistic. Anyway.
So many questions unanswered. Authorities remaining tight-lipped, saying there are many details still simply don't know. Do you know inside the house whether the victims' doors were locked into their individual rooms? I don't know that. Do you know where any messages left behind in the house, like all the symbols from the killer? In other cases, if it was like a fetish killing, they would leave something on the body or write something on the wall. Is there anything like that? I'm not aware of anything like that. While authorities remain tight-lipped, we are learning other details from the families of the victims. The vigil on campus Wednesday night, Kaylee's father gave insight into how close his daughter and Madison were discovered, saying the two were found together in the same bed. Earlier this week, there was confusion when law enforcement said there was a miscommunication between police and the county prosecutor about whether this was a targeted attack or not.
My understanding is the investigators believe that whoever's responsible was specifically looking at this particular residence. That's all that they can offer at this point.
The latest from police is they do think the murders were targeted, but police say they have not concluded if the target was the house or one of the occupants. Investigators have also confirmed a sixth person on the lease was not in the home at the time of the murders. And the roommates and friends who lived in this house behind me were so many things to so many people. Jokester, a fashionista, some prolific photographers. They were really just typical college kids preparing to take on the world. Their friendships so deep.
This is the TikTok video that I got stuck on. I literally watched this TikTok video like 80 times. But yeah, this one, and you can go to I wish I could pull it up. I can't. My computer goes to a different screen that I can't share with you guys. But this TikTok video, you can, let me tell you what Kaylee's if you want to just view it for yourself. This is Kaylee's TikTok. And for the love of God, I'm telling you, if you're one of my subscribers and you go onto this video, and nobody has said bad things. Well, not no one. There were a couple of really, really strange comments. I did screenshot them because they were very inappropriate. But not many. There's a lot of people showing condolences. But Kaylee's TikTok is, let me just write it in the chat real quick. Drop the screen down and let me just write in the chat. Where am I? I'm here. So this is Kaylee's TikTok if you want to go and watch that TikTok that she made that I was talking about. And she has 369. She has 9 TikTok videos. You just get a glimpse into her world a little bit. There is a TikTok she did with just her and Maddie. Maddie seems to be pretty intoxicated in this video as well. But the one with the roommates act like each other when they imitate each other, it's the 3rd video. You just get a sense of who these girls were through the eyes of their friends. So let me just make sure that this is back where it should be, and I'll continue. Oh wait, okay. Let me slow down the speed because I talked about that actually. That was Kaylee imitating Xena. So, I went way too far back. Okay, hold on. So this is Xena. This is Xena with the dark hair. She's imitating Dylan, and she's saying, "Oh my God, like, can somebody give me a ride? Like, I should have been in class like such and such time ago." So obviously Dylan was late all the time to things, and here's Xena like making fun of her. Can you guys see this video? Yeah. Okay.
Their friendship's so deep.
Didn't even do their chores today. I should do it.
So that was Kaylee imitating Xena. And they did. You know what? That's weird because I just noticed that she spelled her name wrong. Because her name is spelled Xena. So that's weird. But Kaylee, Kaylee imitated her, like saying, did anybody do their chores today? Never mind. I'll just do them. So again, just like her dad was pretty much saying, he was watching her clean the house and just mature.
The roommates could rock spot-on impressions of one another.
That was Bethany. And Bethany's making, she's making light of Maddie always taking Jake's calls. So she says, oh, it's Jake. I gotta go, guys. So they're just, he's right. They could imitate each other spot on. They knew each other. So I'm gonna keep playing this.
Okay, this is going to sound a little nuts, but the fastest and easiest way to make passive online income on Amazon.
2 of the young women grew up together. Addison Mogan, Maddie from Coeur d'Alene, best friend Kaylee Gonzalez from nearby Rapture, Idaho. Roommate Xana Kernodle went to high school close by in Post Falls, and her boyfriend Ethan Xena from out of state, Mount Vernon, Washington. All coming together at the University of Idaho, the tiny college town of Moscow.
The community is very concerned. These were 4 very popular people on campus.
Emotions raw at a community vigil on campus Wednesday, including Ethan Chapin's mother.
My name is Stacy Chapin. I'm Ethan's mom.
Her 20-year-old coming to the university this fall with his brother and sister. Triplets, they were inseparable. Ethan's last day spent accompanying Sister Daisy to her sorority formal. Yet the freshman was usually with his girlfriend, Xana Kernodle, a junior studying marketing and reveling in the pair's growing relationship. A proud post of Mouse and Chef, a playful version of Ratatouille.
And I want people to take this personally because she was everyone's daughter.
Kaylee Gonzalez's sister talked to News Nation's Chris Cuomo about her younger sister. Kaylee was finishing her senior year strong, with her best friend, Maddie Logan, always at her side.
So then they went to high school together. Then they started looking at colleges. They came here together.
From Tweens to Lake City High, teachers say the 2 girls never parted. Roommates at the University of Idaho, Maddie did join a different sorority. The live music lover showed off her marketing skills, running the social media account at the Mad Greek restaurant where she worked.
And in the end, they died together. In the same room, in the same bed.
I think all the people working on trying to figure this out. And it really means a lot.
Artsy and funky Moscow, Idaho, the perfect backdrop for the college journey.
Hey guys, I know I talk about myself a lot, but like, what would you guys do with my situation?
The home on King Road, which once hosted Forever Friends, now bears visible scars of the unthinkable. 4 young lives taken, was shown on Xana's graduation cap, and their sights set on giving the world so much more.
I'm sorry, but that picture of that blood coming from the inside of the house to the outside is, I don't know, that picture is seared into my brain. Like, I think of that case and that picture comes to my mind of how brutal how severe this case actually is. It's surreal to see that, and I don't think I've ever seen that before, where people were killed inside of the house but blood was coming outside of it. It's just such a, I don't even know how to describe it. I really don't. Okay, back to this.
Make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people because time is precious and it's something you can't get back. Just so heartbreaking what these families are going through. I had the chance to sit down with the Gonzalez family in Kaylee's home. Their loss is so heavy, and they have been vocal about their relentless search for justice and frustrations with the investigation. Here's part one of our conversation.
You know, she was hurt so bad that she was not able to recover. That is just terrible. It's terrible. And I cannot fathom in my head what kind of person did this and what.
You know what? There's a lot of talk about Kaylee's dad, but her mother seems to be in the worst grief. Oh my goodness. At that vigil, I didn't play Kaylee's parents' part because I really want to focus on Ethan and Xana for the stream. But I'll just say that Kaylee's mother is in a huge state of turmoil. To the point where, Kaylee's dad is having to step in and just read things for her out loud because she can't even get the words out. So my heart definitely goes out to this woman.
I can't sleep at night. I lay in bed pondering just millions of different scenarios. And just, I want to know, but then there's some obviously you don't want to know, but I don't want to know it all. And I just don't understand why, how somebody hates somebody before. Just like, girl, just so savagely.
Is anyone acting differently since the murders? I mean, is there anyone that you have a weird feeling about that the girls knew or that comes to mind?
Yeah, I would say not in the immediate circle by any means, but a few of the names that have been circulating around, I think it's hard not to kind of dig into this. That is just because we have so little information from law enforcement, and how much of it really is a sister or a father's intuition.
Can you elaborate at all? You don't have to give a name, but I mean, is it someone that you knew or?
I haven't said that. I just feel like there's been a couple of individuals that were cleared very fast. That may not be the issue, but
she had a strong alibi.
Really fast. An hour later, and we're like, what? And I don't know anything about those individuals. I just know they were people that definitely should have looked at it. And
I don't know what would prevent you from sharing somebody's alibi.
Yeah, I think that's what we're struggling with. So it's like, we know what we know. We've fought for Jackie Kaylee's boyfriend, and we still stand that way. So I just kind of want to clear that.
Yeah, so, they're talking here about, I don't know what would prevent them from giving someone's timeline. And, here's Kaylee's sister saying, we know this and all of this, but we don't know this. What is not known is Ethan and Xana's timeline. So with the family saying, I don't know why they would preserve this, I think there's a reason why. I think there is a reason why. I think there's very much a reason that we do not know their timeline. We don't. There, to my knowledge, if you guys know different, please say so. But to my knowledge, thus far, there hasn't been any police statements or anybody that has came forward that knows where Ethan and Xana were between the hours of, let's just say, 9 p.m. and 1:45 a.m. To my knowledge, there has not been anything released about that. And this is what Kaylee's family is talking about. Like, why would they preserve that? Well, again, I'm feeling like they do know. I do feel like law enforcement knows a lot more than we know. But they alluded to that with saying, it could be a vital part of the investigation. So, there's a reason why they release things that they do. To us, it may be like, oh my God, they said this, but it's most likely something that they've known and they don't feel like it's going to be vital. So they release it. And we know, like, the most vital things, they are not going to release. You're not going to be able to find them in a police statement. It's going to have to be someone that comes forward and speaks it. But I don't know how much I would encourage something like that. I would encourage them more to please speak to the police. If the police say, hey, thank you for this information, please do not share it, then I would not encourage them to share it. because this trial, I mean, just thinking about the trial exhausts me, literally, because you have 4 different victims. The burden that's going to be placed upon the prosecution, if this is a madman, let's just call him that, a psychopath, a sociopath, whatever. If this is someone that really targeted the house for their hatred for them, you're going to have to prove that. You're going to have to prove that. You're going to have to prove that. And if this person, let's just say it was that kind of person, psychopath, madman, targeted the house, maybe he has drawings of things. Maybe he has a collection of knives that he's been keeping for a really long time. Maybe he has definitely said things to other people, strange things that were kind of like, wow, that's really crazy for you to say. There's going to be some type of evidence to this person's behavior. But again, the prosecution is going to have to prove this, and it's, if their timeline, if they bumped into this person, if there's even the craziest of possibilities, they brought this person back to the house or allowed them back to the house to party it up after the bar. Who knows? Who knows? If Ethan got into a fight with this person. I know that there was that 911 call that came in through, the domestic or the alcohol disturbance. It could have been any number of things, but I feel like their timeline is actually critical to this entire thing. Even if, again, it's a madman psycho that was maybe really didn't see Dylan that much, or maybe Bethany was gone and just maybe really didn't know them that well, or something like that, or maybe he had a thing with, oh, they're freshmen, maybe they'll be better or something. Who knows? For whatever reason, their lives were spared. And I don't think it's because they committed the crime. I just think their lives were spared either out of luck, pure luck, that this person did not know they were there. Maybe try their doors, they were locked and didn't bother, or they were just literally not known that they were there or something, or he had some kind of weird rule or something like, oh, I'm not going to kill the freshmen because they could be better college kids and won't get on my nerves, or better college people or something. Who knows? Either way, their lives were spared. But yeah, I'm going to agree with what they're saying here, and with Kaylee's families. I feel like they're so transparent because, again, Kaylee and Maddie's timeline is pretty laid out. It's pretty well known. I don't have too many questions except for Hoodie Guy. Hoodie Guy is still definitely a play in my book. But other than him, I don't have a question of where were they at these times, because that's kind of really laid out for you. Ethan and Xena, not at all. Not at all. So anyway, back to this. Oh.
But we're talking through this ambiguity that, that's not what we're honing in on here.
We don't want to make more victims out of innocent people.
Exactly.
We definitely don't want to do that. And you've mentioned before that you didn't want to have a funeral right now because the killer's still out there. Is that something that you're still thinking about? Are you nervous at all? Because in Moscow, we talk to students, people are really nervous there.
It should be.
Yeah.
It's targeting to me. It seems behavior-based. That's why I don't like it. And it kind of pits the parents against each other. So I don't like that. I just told some of the other parents today that.
Do you hear what he's saying? It pits the parents against each other. A target attack is pitting the parents against each other. Like basically maybe, and I'm not saying this, he's just saying it pits parents against each other. And I see what he's saying because, say it was my son, I'll use myself. I don't want to use these victims. If it was my son that was targeted, but then there's 3 other students that are killed because my son was a target, that family I might feel a lot of guilt. Like, oh, it was my child and my child suffered this terrible thing, but then it also cost these 3 other kids their lives. So I see what Mr. Goncalves is saying. Let me slow him down. I do want to talk, or I do want to hear him at this moment. This is not Ethan and Xena, but it does it does shed some light of all of the families together and kind of how he's thinking. And I agree with how he's thinking that amongst them, the victims' families, that this word of targeted attack could be pitting them against one another. So let's listen to him real quick again, but slow down.
Purpose there.
It should be.
Yeah.
It's targeting to me. It seems behavior based. That's why I don't like it, and it kind of pits the parents against each other. So I don't like that. I just told some of the other parents today that if your daughter is no ill will for me, man. To me, if you go have a couple beers or go out and hang out with your friends and then come home and go to bed, if that's your target, then I think we all do that. I think we all come home and go to our beds. Yeah. So it's kind of a bad word then. I mean, it doesn't really make sense in some ways. Exactly.
The prosecutor told me that.
Yeah.
He said I think it was kind of a weird word to choose.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense if there was some bad behavior that they did. Let's say, I don't know, they came from a strip club or something, and then somebody followed them home. That's a targeted thing. That's what I've had innocent people that were interviewed that were their neighbors, and they said, I'd be a lot more scared if it wasn't targeted.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing anything to target me. And I'm like, well, if targeting's just going to bed with your friends.
So maybe that was just a way to calm people down.
I feel like it was strategic.
Yeah.
It was a strategic way to keep people from hitting the door, transferring out, and turning that place into a ghost town. So,
You never think you're gonna lose your little sister.
yeah.
Never.
And that's another giant elephant in the room, is the university itself. I have talked about this before, but we're going to talk about it again because it is a big part of this. This university is the town. Okay, so in other interviews, I don't know that he does it in this one, but in a prior interview I saw of Kaylee's dad, he was like, I get it. Rush week comes and, you're going to have 15, 20,000 students here. This is about money. This is going to be about money to them. It is like a business. Again, young adults, not children, young adults are going there. They are paying them to give them a higher education. It's a business. It is. And what is really bad for business? Murder. Murder is very bad for business. So, even though these are young adults, their parents are going most likely to be the ones that are paying for this. So they're not going to want their child to, even though they're adults, they might be like, nope, we're not paying for that. This college is unsafe. We don't want you going here. There's been, these targeted house or people attacks, murders. No, which again, the university is in the end going to do what's best for the university. And I would be very surprised if they did otherwise. Is that wrong? Yes, it's very wrong. Do I also see the flip side, which I will never side with them if they choose to do that? But do I see the flip side that, yes, if this college goes down, this entire town goes down? Yes. Because you're going to, if this college slacks off with students and not as many students are enrolling, they don't view this as a safe place. From what I understand, the University of Idaho is a party college. It's known as that. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that's my understanding. So I think it's the perfect place for a person to target. I think it's the perfect place for someone who is capable of having crazy extreme views to act out on those views. And I also think it's a place that parents willing to, pay for their children's college education and shell out a bunch of money might look at no, I definitely don't want my child going here. These murders happen. They've not been solved. I don't know if my kid's safe here or not. And I'm not paying for this. I'm not doing this. I want my kid to pick a different college. So again, the college itself, I think what Kaylee's dad was saying prior, you know, like, hey, I get it. You don't want us to put up posters because it's like bad for business, basically. But no one is going to feel safe until this is solved. So I like what her dad said, and I just hold no ill will towards this man. I seen another gentleman. I don't know his name. He was sort of like attacking Kaylee's dad and saying that he was just doing too much, basically. I disagree. I disagree. A lot of the time in cases like this, well, just in cases, period, not in cases like this is a very, make no mistake about it, this is an extremely unique case. Extremely unique, okay? I do not mean that in a positive way, but it is murder-wise. Let's go back to this live stream.
You never think you're gonna have to bury your daughter.
It's unbelievable. It's not. I know. And I don't know. I mean, it's several things. It's her age. It's how it happened.
It's her life.
Why it happened. Who did this to her?
Just graduated.
Who did this to her and her friends? Sorry, she's with her best friend. And some little girls.
That family tonight is so heartbroken. I've been in touch with them. It's literally unimaginable to think about what they are going through, but they are so determined to find this killer, and they say they are going to keep the pressure on the police until that happens. Okay, coming up, we're going to talk more about that breaking news that we learned about just tonight about the condition of the bodies. We are live tonight from Moscow, Idaho. Up next, Xana's mom breaks her silence for the first time.
We need more answers.
And internet sleuths are on the case.
And this is my theory on like multiple parts of the case, okay?
But when does it help the investigation, and when does it go too far?
I took Kate into the doctor. We thought it was just growing. The doctors came in and they said, Kate.
I'm Ryan live in Moscow, Idaho tonight. The murder mystery has reignited the murder here. The online sleuthing community who gained notoriety during the search for Gabby Petito in 2021. We are talking about the armchair detectives, people who sift through social media looking for any possible clue. And in the vacuum of information, the Moscow police, their voices are louder than ever. Here's News Nation's Ashley Banfield. What we know is that 6 missed calls were made from Kaylee to Jack's phone, her ex-boyfriend.
From the start, amateur investigators shared their theories on the Moscow, Idaho quadruple murders. The case has gripped the nation. People are craving as much information as possible, trying to put the pieces together themselves.
We talk about these things in Moscow, Idaho.
Wondering if it was a friend, not one of the roommates.
This is just as pretty much everybody talking about this case. Pure speculation.
Partly fueled by a lack of information from the police.
Everybody has an opinion and they want to come out and say it. And so what that does is that detracts from the public's ability to trust the information that's out there.
Police have always had to work around rumors. They sift through leads, discarding the hoaxes and the hearsay to try to get to credible tips. But the sheer volume of tips in this case could take a toll on police resources. But they could also crack the case. Nearly 500 digital media tips have come into an FBI page dedicated to the case. The Moscow police are on rumor control, both on their website and during their news conferences. Often, the rumors get started on social media.
Okay, I have no qualifications to be speaking on Idaho murders other than the fact that I just have been keeping up with them. And this is my theory on multiple parts of the case, okay?
Social media sites seizing the moment, setting algorithms to gain traction on the Idaho case. TikTok posts with the hashtag Idaho Murders have more than 90 million views. Reddit forums with 27,000 members and private Facebook groups, each with tens of thousands of people, are all talking about the Idaho murders and are ripe with wild speculation, many delving into Kaylee, Xana, Madison, and Ethan's own social media accounts. But these crowdsourced investigations can also ruin lives as they track down so-called suspects on their own. First, it was the young man in the hoodie seen at the food truck in a video that surfaced days after the murders. Police were flooded with questions about who he was.
I think a lot of people were curious about that person. We were able to identify him.
Police have since cleared that man, but online sleuths soon turned their attention to a new suspect, a neighbor of the victims, named Jeremy Reagan. He's a third-year law student at the University of Idaho and gave a TV interview about the comings and goings at the house where the kids were murdered. He admits that he'd given a nervous smile while talking about the crime. Some viewers took issue and made him a target. Soon he moved from target to suspect, and it was open season on the internet.
People online have just been ruthless. They went through, gone through all my social media history over the past decade, partly because of all the reports that the people had sent in about me and the interview I did.
Reagan has spoken with police and even volunteered his DNA, but when he didn't hear back from the officers, he simply went to the station himself and gave police a sample. But as amateur investigators continue to dig deep into his personal life, contacting... Can we just stop on Jeremy Reagan just for a sec? I have to say this. Jeremy Reagan is a neighbor. He lives in the apartments next to the house. I'm sure you guys all know that. But I don't understand this guy, because he would be like, I'm not going to give any more interviews. Like, I'm done. I'm done. Everybody's attacking me. And then he gives like 5 more interviews or something. So it's like, I thought you were done doing that. If you don't have anything more to add, you've definitely done as much as you can. So why do you keep
putting yourself in that position. Anyway, but I'm not speculating that he committed the murders. I just find that weird. I don't know why you would keep doing that. But anyway.
To his friends and his family, Jeremy is now so concerned that he carries a pistol for protection. Amateur detectives have had some success before. During the Gabby Petito case, social media hashtags exploded with billions of views. It was social media users that put many of the pieces together and gave police strong clues as to where to look. Back in Moscow, Idaho, with every day that the 4 murders go unsolved, the online investigative community is sure to grow. Each wanting to be the cyber sleuth that unlocks the mystery and solves the crime. But at what cost to professional investigators and to the public?
And Ashley Banfield joins me now. Ashley, you have been on this story since the very beginning. You've been doing it every single night on your show. We know with the Gabby Petito case, the online sleuths really had an impact, helped solve what happened. Do you think that could happen in this case?
So the reality is, Brian, that every police officer will tell you when trying to solve a case, there is no detail that is too small. And they ask the public to bring forth any details because sometimes that minute detail can be the linchpin that opens up an entire other set of facts. Well, I don't know how many total officers have eyes on this, but it's upwards of maybe somewhere below 100. And with the online community, they may be able to triangulate some details between photos that may go missed by the detectives on the case. So in one circumstance, it is highly effective to have that many more eyes that could point out something that's critical to the case. But as we just heard, it can also be detrimental, Brian, to Jeremy Reagan and people like him who all of a sudden become targets for attacks. And those attacks can...
I fully agree with this. This happens. We see this pretty much in every single case. For those of you, I see you in my chat now. You have been through case after case after case. We see this every single time, where people that are not involved, that did not, commit the crime, and it's obvious they didn't. They are still attacked online. They are still harassed and all of those kinds of things. So I fully agree with what Banfield is saying here, that social media, and again, I will bring up Dylan Rounds. I don't think I can ever go a stream without bringing him up. But, the lead FBI investigator on that case told me that, he told me himself, social media could be such a powerful tool, but unfortunately, it is not used that way. And that was coming from a federal law enforcement, recognizing social media, powerful tool, very, very powerful tool. But I always feel like it's a double-edged sword, because it is. You definitely can gain information from it. There's definitely all these eyes on it that might not, that might spot things that investigators don't. You just never know. But at the same time, there are so many innocent people that are attacked, that are unnecessarily harassed, that are just, almost life-ruining stuff posted about them. And, that kind of thing has to stop. I've speculated on, potential suspects, and I've shown some stuff, but I don't know. That is the truth. Law enforcement doesn't know. And if law enforcement doesn't know, I definitely don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know. But I just think that these murders are incredible. They need to, and when I say incredible, please don't take that as me saying, wow, this is spectacular. No, please do not misconstrue my words. Incredible in the worst way. Okay, just insane to think about. So anyway, let's continue on.
Be relentless. I will also say this, Brian. It is not as though an online community hasn't had incredible success before. You mentioned Gabby Petito. There was also a serial killer in Canada that the online community found before the police found him, and the police ignored them. So there are some lessons to be learned from that, and there are some things the community can actually help with in terms of investigation.
And you mentioned Jeremy. I saw him on your show the other night. He actually lives right down the way here. I can see his apartment from where I'm standing. You can't help but feel bad for that guy. I heard him on your show say that he actually went to the police station to give up his own DNA just because he wanted to clear his name. All right, Ashley, don't go anywhere, because we are going to talk to you about this breaking news that we talked about at the top of the show, the new revelations that we have confirmed about the conditions of the bodies, what that might mean in terms of who was targeted. We're going to get to that coming up right after this break. We are live from Moscow, Idaho tonight. Still ahead, a confounding crime scene. How did a killer seemingly go in and out of the house without a trace? And reality is not always what you see on TV. We call it the CSI effect. But some people think, well, we should be able to do this. Our exclusive look inside the Idaho State Crime Lab.
There are lot of people out there that don't brush their teeth twice a day.
And I agree with that guy, that people think this is going to be solved overnight. It's not.
I'm Ryan Ensign live in Moscow, Idaho tonight, where we continue to look into the murders that happened in the house behind me. 4 innocent college students, now 3 weeks ago. Still no significant developments, still no name suspect, still no name person of interest. I want to bring back in Ashley Banfield. And Ashley, I've been looking forward to this because I want to talk to you about this new information that we confirmed just before the special today. The new information is that Kaylee Gonzalez's injuries were significantly more brutal. That is what I can say, significantly more brutal than her best friend Maddie's injuries. What do you make of that new piece of information, Ashley?
Well, it's astounding, for one, because this is the first time, Brian, that you've been able to get the kind of information that helps us to perhaps try to figure out why this happened. Not saying this is definitive, but it certainly is one additional clue as to whether perhaps Kaylee might have been the target. But you got more information that makes it almost more complicated, and that is where the girls were found. So walk us through what you discovered today, because many of us didn't know which room. Kaylee's father said they were found in the same room and in the same bed.
Yeah, let me show you, Ashley. I want to take you up the hill here and get you oriented. This is the front of the house. There's now private security out front. And oh my, because it's going and it's very, very slippery. But we're going to walk you up to the back of the house. No windows on the side of the house. We've got the front on the other front, which we know has the coded lock. The back of the house, though, is where the injuries are. Confirmed the key injuries.
Brian, I think we just lost your mic, and I'm not sure. There, you're back. You're back. Can you just repeat what you said in the last 10 seconds? Your mic went dead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was explaining that we confirmed that Kaylee's injuries were more significantly brutal than Maddie's. We've also confirmed that they were on the 3rd floor. I'm going to have Mo show you. 3rd floor here, where not easy access. You've got the balcony to slide up there. What this has us wondering, actually, I want you to kind of walk through this with me. If Kaylee's injuries were the most severe up on the 3rd floor, and there's no way out of the 3rd floor, would that mean the killer specifically targeted the 3rd floor? Because it doesn't make any sense. Why would the killer go up to a floor where there would not be an easy exit for him? What do you make of that, Ashley?
Well, it's significant in that we still don't know where the killings began. Did they begin on the 2nd floor where Xana Kernodle's room was?
Well, again, I'll say that Nancy Grace, whether you like Nancy or not is up to you. I've personally always liked her. She is very bombastic, but I like Nancy Grace. She gets things done. She says what she needs to say. Either way, she said that, with forensics, that it was confirmed that Ethan and Xena were murdered first on the 2nd floor. So I'm going to assume that that is where the attacks began, especially with them saying that they believe that the entry point was either the back door or the window. I'm going to tell you, with Nate Eaton walking up the side, why do I keep saying Nate Eaton? With him walking up the side, Brian Eaton. I don't know why I keep saying Nate. I guess I'm used to watching Idaho News. Brian Eaton. With Brian Eaton walking up the side, that's a very scary walk up. It's dark. It is pitch black. You could go right up the side of there. What I find interesting is, well, there was no snow. Yeah, there was no snow. See that? It would have made it easier if there was snow. But somebody could have creeped right up behind there, just completely unseen, because it was dark. There was no lights. The lights over there from the apartment buildings that would have lit up the side of this house were not in working order. They have since fixed them, which I'm sure you guys know. But yeah, I mean, walking up the side of that house, I feel like the killer would have took the most, secret route if he was not let in. But either way.
And of course, Ethan had been staying over that night. And we now know that room was the room on the far side of the house. So not the side of the house that you're on right now, on the other side of the house, at the front of the house. That's Xana and Ethan's. And then did they progress to the 3rd floor? And while your mic was cutting out, I think the key piece of information that the audience can hear was which room upstairs on the 3rd floor the girls were actually found. Before now, we only knew they were found together, but we didn't know in Matt's room or in Kaylee's room. And so as we look at the 3rd floor map right there, bedroom number E, or bedroom E, is Maddie's bedroom, and it looks out the back of the house. And bedroom F is Kaylee's bedroom, and it looks out the front, but also the back where the slider is. So what did you discover about which room? Maddie's room on the left or Kaylee's room on the right?
That's right. We confirmed that they were in Maddie's room, which is also interesting. That's something that we did not know. So Kaylee's injuries were significantly more brutal, but they were sleeping together in Maddie's room. So that helps put the puzzle together. There's also something new that helped put the puzzle together. It was on your show, an exclusive interview you had.
And just a little quick thing about them sleeping together. I feel like there has been quite a few people that have made a big deal about this. I can tell you now that even in my adult age, I've had to go over and comfort my best friends at different times, and I have slept in bed with them with my clothes on, not anything weird. It's not uncommon. It's really not. It doesn't mean anything. These two people had been, best friends for a large portion of their life. I have that same type of friendship with people, and yeah, laying next to them in the bed and going to sleep, especially after we've had some drinks, it wouldn't mean anything. We were just trying to go to sleep. So I think people have made a bigger deal about that than should have been, because I really didn't think a lot of that. It didn't even really surprise me when I heard that they slept in the same bed. I was like, it was sad to me. But at the same time, as sad, and it's incredibly sad as it is, these two girls in the end had each other, right up until the very, very end. I didn't really focus a lot on, oh my gosh, they're sleeping in the same bed. I just, that really wasn't a focal point at all, because to me, it's irrelevant. So, but anyway, back to this.
Had on your show Friday night with Xana's mother. We never heard from her before. She called into your show. I want to play what she said, and then we can talk about it on the other side, actually.
Her father mentioned to me that you had just went and replaced the lock the weekend before.
You said her father mentioned to you that they had replaced the lock?
Yeah, that you had, or you fixed it or something, but yeah, he said that you fixed it the week before. Just to make sure it really worked. So, yeah. I do not think it was us that was targeted. I believe wholeheartedly that it was those kids who were targeted. They were just acquaintances. These kids were, like best friends. They practically were family. These kids were tight-knit. They were good friends. They were like family. They were around each other constantly. They did everything together. How could it not be a planned thing? How could it not have been targeted?
Wait, so Xana's mom here?
Okay, so, yeah. I want to ask you, I have two significant things that stood out to me during that interview. Number one, what she said about the door locks. Number two, that she feels that, I think she put it, these kids were targeted. Tell me about why those two things. I mean, they're new, and what do they mean?
So before Banfield goes on, I'll interject here, Ashley. Just give me a moment. But yeah, Xana's mom, you hear how frantic she is. You hear how upset, they're all of these parents' minds must be running 1,000 miles a minute of what could have possibly happened. And, she feels very strongly that this was targeted against one of the murder victims, not against the house. So that's her feeling, and Banfield's about to talk about it.
To make sure that our viewers knew that was the voice of Xana's mom. She wasn't on video because she's so distraught. That was just her voice that we heard. But she said that the locks had been worked on by Steve, or rather by Jeff Kernodle, Xana's dad, just the weekend before. She couldn't confirm whether the lock that he had fixed was on Xana's room or whether it was a lock to the outside of the house. But I did say, did the rooms have individual locks? And she believed that Xana's room did have a lock. So very, very significant, because we've been trying to figure out, and there's a picture right there on the screen on the left-hand side, is what one of the rooms in the house used to have in it, a coded lock to get into an individual bedroom. And that each bedroom had a coded lock. That was 3 years ago. And we're not sure if each bedroom still has a coded lock. But it's critical because we tried to figure out, how did the killer get in to a locked bedroom, and then how did the door perhaps get locked on the way out so that the roommates couldn't get in and thought someone was passed out on the other side? That's critical. But I also think it's very critical that she thinks that the target was the kids, not the home, and that it was someone they knew and trusted. And then one more thing, Brian, about the fact that the girls were found in Maddie's room and not Kaylee's room. I think it's important for our viewers to know that Kaylee was in the process of moving out. So it's possible that many of her things were scattered all over the bed, or the bed was in pieces or had no bedding, and that's why she might have been in her best friend's room. But if the killer went into Maddie's room, and yet Kaylee had more injuries, and it's dark, it's the middle of the night, this complicates things even more. Because if Kaylee was the target, then how would the killer know which one of the girls that was in Maddie's room if they were sleeping? Because they look a lot alike, and in the dark, it would be very tricky to tell, and certainly it wasn't Kaylee's room. So very, very big find that you discovered, but even more complicated.
Yeah, certainly some big developments tonight that really help us piece together the story. Ashley, I know you've been covering this every single night on your show. You and I have been on the phone late at night discussing all of this, and we'll continue to do the same thing next week. Ashley, thanks so much for coming on tonight.
You bet.
Okay, we still got a lot more to come. We are live in Moscow, Idaho tonight. A News Nation exclusive, a look inside the crime lab system that handles all homicides in Idaho, as we dig into the physical evidence the killer might have left behind, plus unimaginable loss. A lot of people have been wondering if Kaylee had a stalker, if that was really true. And new information from a family taking justice into their own hands.
Pay attention to what you're saying about yourself.
I didn't think we go through all of this, but apparently we are.
We have been outside this crime scene for a week now, and there are a lot of questions about the evidence inside what actually happens to it. And just last night, we were standing in this spot. We're pretty much here all the time for the most part, walking out with brown bags in their hands, but we still don't know exactly what was inside. It was an interesting development, though. There were some very, very large bags, and it seemed like they went in to gather some kind of evidence, and then came out about an hour later. Idaho Police Forensic Services, they're pouring over what has taken from the scene. They've been in the home multiple times.
Yes, Pink, you're correct. Pink is saying Kaylee moved out, right? So it makes sense. She was sharing her friend's bed. Yes, it does. I think Kaylee was just visiting, showing off her new ride, right? Yes, that's what's been reported. That she was coming back to literally show Maddie, like, hey, look at this great new Range Rover I just bought myself. That's a big deal. That's a big deal in a young person's life to buy their own vehicle. It's a nice vehicle. Obviously, you're going to want to show your best friend. Been there, done that, and not abnormal at all. So.
That exclusive look at the state crime lab. Alex Gabriello joins me live now. Alex, there's so much frustration among them. So many people are wanting answers quickly. You see the TV shows, they think that they can get these results fast, but it seems like it really does take quite a bit of time.
Right, it does. That's exactly what we learned from Idaho State Crime Lab. The fact of the matter is that this is an incredibly complex crime scene, and obviously with the killer still on the loose, every bit of evidence is crucial to try to back this case up.
The knife, the incredible amount of blood, and the complexity of a bustling home with plenty of visitors. The forensics team is on a case like few others.
It's so very complex. We're not talking about a person that just randomly walks up on the street and stabs somebody and walks away. We're talking about 4 individuals here.
Forensics professor and Body Bags podcast host Joseph Scott Morgan also taking note of how the murderer slipped into the home on Moscow's Kings Road. No broken windows, no broken doors.
And for the investigators, that's a big piece of information. It goes from, if you're looking at a potential suspect, what level of familiarity did they have with this environment? Did they feel comfortable in it? Did they know their way around? Would they say, you know what, maybe I don't want to go into the bottom. Keep in mind, the 2 people live downstairs. Let it die.
And also in this case, a complicated stew of DNA from the roommates, and as a hopping college house, many guests. It'll spin, it'll inject a blank, it'll spin back. News Nation getting an exclusive look inside the Idaho State Crime Lab outside Boise. This is the DNA casework lab, ready for the complexity of this case and others. The lab demonstrating for News Nation how elimination fingerprinting works for cases with a crowded home or in a car with passengers.
You can see that's a really nice print that you left on the glass.
But Idaho's Director of Forensic Services reminds the public, speedy and slick TV evidence processing is not the real deal. We call it the CSI effect. Some people think, well, we should be able to do this, but the technology doesn't exist for that yet. Time certainly moving slowly back in Moscow with the decision to tow the victim's car weeks after the murders.
Wherever it is they're stored on, I hope that it would be at the Idaho State Crime Lab, because at crime labs, they have actual evidence processing garages. But that scene, what did they have? They had a piece of yellow tape on them that was providing security.
One solid tip, bolstered by the careful processing of a single clue left behind. The best hope to find justice for 4 young lives.
Just fascinating to see inside that crime lab, the work that they do behind the scenes. Explain to us why this in particular is such a complicated scene.
Right, well, I kind of briefly mentioned it in the story, but when you think about it, I mean, just look at it. It's a rather large house, first and foremost. 3 stories to it. That's a whole lot of evidence for investigators to comb through. And then not to mention just the proximity to where it is on the college campus. Right, well, obviously, some of the fraternities and sororities are just about 200 yards away. We're told that this was a place where people partied, people socialized. And so that's a whole lot of people that are coming in and out of this home, which could really muck up and blur some of those lines and that evidence.
And I know police are remaining tight-lipped for the most part, but do we have time frame when more of this evidence could come back to testing?
Well, this is the benefit of actually being able to go to the Idaho State Crime Lab, right? We were able to ask them that, and they told us that they've already processed some of this evidence and they've gotten it back into the hands of the detectives. So right now, information is coming in and they are processing new information, but obviously this could take weeks as, like I mentioned, a lot of evidence to come in.
Thanks so much, Alex. Yeah, this is fascinating to see inside that crime lab. It's not often that you get to see inside a crime lab like that. So we've still got more to come. Alex mentioned it, still evidence being taken out of the house. You saw the brown paper bags. We got that video yesterday. This is all so active. More coming up after this break live from Moscow, Idaho. Coming up next, a brand new revelation from the parents of Kaylee Gonzalez. Are you confident with the way they're investigating? Welcome back. There has been so much information floating around for the past several weeks about this case. Some of it is true. Some of it has obviously been rumors. And a lot of the talk has been focused on whether Kaylee Gonzalez.
See, and can we just go back to this? Because, again, this is why I wanted this stream to be mostly about Ethan and Xena, because I feel like they are the 2 least talked about. And they are also the 2 that we do not know their timeline. There is nothing concrete about Xena and Ethan's timeline from 9 p.m. to 1:45 a.m. And we often see things very targeted towards Kaylee or Maddie, mostly Kaylee though. And I really wonder if that's because she's just such this bombshell blonde college student, because she really is. Absolutely gorgeous. She's just she's beautiful. She's a beautiful girl. And so I feel like when people look at this case and they look at the victims, their eye goes right to her, or right to her and Maddie. And people just automatically say they had to be the targets. But again, when you hear that there was no sexual assault in this case, for me, that changes things. That changes a whole bunch of things. I I don't know that they were the target, but the media and Kaylee's family is definitely by far the most vocal. Her father, her mother, her sister, they're very vocal. They definitely want justice for their loved one. It doesn't mean that the other families do not want this. They are just not as vocal. So I feel like a lot of attention has been placed on Kaylee because of her appearance, because of her family being extremely vocal, but there really isn't any concrete evidence that points to her being the target. Unless we want to go back to Hoodie Guy. And Hoodie Guy, there are motives there. There are things there with Hoodie Guy. I am not going to say that Jack Stallworth should be just ruled out, even though I will say that law enforcement has ruled him out. Law enforcement, I think, has said, has it been 3 times now? 2 or 3 times that Hoodie Guy is not a suspect. Do I think it's suspicious that his parents make donations to this university? Again, we know that the university is the centerpiece of this entire thing. They are definitely going to have a say in what is going on because they are the biggest moneymaker. They're the emperor card. If you don't know what the emperor card is, it's the king that sits amongst this entire thing. Because ultimately, while these murders affect the victims' families in the most emotional ways, and the public the same, the university, I'm positive. I'm positive there are definitely university faculty that have heartfelt feelings towards this. But when it comes to a business standpoint, the university is going to look at the money. They are. Kaylee Goncalves' father has said as much that, yeah, I get it. I'll repeat it. He said, yeah, I get it. You don't want all these posters up for Rush Week. But if this is not solved, no one is going to feel safe here. And I feel like that was an extremely pointed comment because it's true. This is the type of homicide for 4 people. I can never stress that enough. 4 people. And if you think that even as a university, million dollar university, this university rakes in millions and millions and millions and millions a year. If you think that this murder is going to be quieted or simmered down, it is definitely not. It is definitely not. And the reason that it's not, and here's the double-edged sword, is social media. Ashley Banfield and Brian Eaton are definitely on top of this. But social media, they even did a giant piece in this 42-minute special edition on News Nation. They did a segment about social media and how it's harmful. But at the same time, I will say to you that double-edged sword. That's what I'll say to you. Double-edged sword. It's harmful and it's helpful at the same time. It keeps crazy pressure on. It also hurts innocent people that should not be harassed or looked into. So it's a really social media and true crime and all of that is a really crazy genre. But in this day and age, it's not newspapers or ABC or NBC or CBS or Fox News that runs things. Make no mistake, it is social media. It is social media that fuels things, that pushes things, that rears its ugly head. But again, it's like with social media, it's kind of like making a deal with the devil. because you might get answers. You might get things that you never would have gotten, but it will come at a cost to people that it shouldn't come at a cost to. So let me play the rest of this because we're almost at the end.
This may have actually had a stalker. I asked her family to clear that up. Can you talk a little more about, a lot of people have been wondering if Kaylee had a stalker, if that was really true?
So she's a pretty girl. Her friends are really pretty. So then attracting attention was pretty common wherever they went. So I think she attracted attention. Whether that's a dedicated person following her around, maybe not. I do believe that the officers looked in it, and I believe what they said, that there was no evidence there.
Are you confident with the way they're investigating?
I think it's hard to say this way or that. They're obviously holding a very tight chest, which could either be a really, really great sign or a really, really bad sign. And I think depending on not even the day, the hour, especially my dad and I, we go back and forth between they got this and kind of falling apart a little bit and, really looking at specific events that have been strange or maybe should have been looked into more in our eyes.
And it really is just so heartbreaking what that family has been going through. I thank them so much for trusting me and allowing me to come into their home and talk with them. It's so easy to get caught up in the investigation, all the new nuggets that come out within. But behind the scenes, this is really about the victims and it is about their families. The pain that is even worse because the killer is still on the run tonight. If you are watching this and you have any information about what happened here, think about those families tonight. You can stay anonymous. The number for the police is on your screen. Someone has got to come forward to ease their pain. I'm going to stop it there so it just stays on my screen. But Brian Eaton is really reaching out, like, please, if you have any information, or I'll just give my theory, because that's all we can really do at this point as the public. I am just the public. I am not anything special because I have a YouTube platform. I am just the public, just like you guys. So my overall theory is that this was a person maybe briefly known to them. I don't believe this is inner circle. I believe this was someone that was on the out fringes of knowing one of them, two of them, or something of that nature, knew of the house. I feel like the house plays the most important role here. I feel like that house signified in the things that went on in that house, partying and, just college stuff that the rest of us see as, well, that's normal. They're college kids. Yep. They're partying it up. They're being goofy. They're being funny. They're doing TikToks. They're making lifelong bonds. When they're 40, they're going to look back on this time and smile at it. But I feel like this killer looks at this house and the people inside of it and what it represents as everything that they hate. Maybe it's I hate people like you that come here and with mommy and daddy's money, you just party it up and get yourself all prettied up and, oh, you're falling in love and you're doing this. Like, screw you. I feel like this is that killer's hatred. I stated it before, I'll state it again. I don't believe that the two surviving roommates are suspects here. I don't even believe that Kaylee's ex-boyfriend Jack is a suspect. I do not believe that he is. Even with finding out that her stab wounds or her her murder was more brutal. Again, I'll point out that Kaylee grabs people's attention right away. Your eye just immediately goes to her. She again, extremely attractive. You look at this girl, oh my God, she had it all. She's beautiful. She was graduating from college. The more you find out, you're like, wow, she's had everything going for her. So even if it was a person that hated what this house and the people that inhabited it, if he hated them, I feel like Kaylee would be the epitome of that hate. That she really physically represented it. This beautiful blonde young college student that seemingly had the world at her feet. I will take notice as well
that just from family and friends and their TikToks, partially their TikToks, but from family and friends, Xena is definitely described as, again, the more motherly type, the one that was the life of the party. If she wasn't there, it wasn't going to be as fun. If she was there, you just knew you were going to have a great time. That was one of the roommates. She just seemed to be the one that was the most personality-wise attractive. Kaylee actually seemed to be the one that was the least. I will never victim shame, and I'm not doing that here. I'm just taking a profile and assessment of what I see. Kaylee's family's called her a brat and stuff like that. So I feel like Kaylee just still had some maturing to do. I don't think that she was the most maturest out of the bunch, even though she was one of the oldest at 21. Take that into account. 21 years old. How mature are you at 21? But she seemed to not be as social from what we know in the public as Maddie or Xena. Maddie also seemed, because you must remember that Maddie and Xena were in the same sorority. Kaylee picked a different sorority. So that's a little unusual with, Maddie and Kaylee being as close as sisters, but they picked different sororities. And Maddie was known as like a big person in her sorority. So she was really well known. She was really well liked. I don't think that Kaylee was disliked. I think she was just less known. Xena and Maddie seem to be the two social butterflies. Kaylee, I think, was as well, but not to an extent that they were. But physically, just looking at them as an outsider, your eye goes to Kaylee. Even though she again, against Maddie and Xena, she wasn't as, it doesn't appear that she was as social or as friendly, just making friends left and right as those two did. That's saying nothing bad against Kaylee, but I have to wonder again with Xena, with her being so friendly, with her being so people person-y. I was like that when I was younger. I was a big people person. When I went out to bars, 21, 25, whatever, I would talk to everyone, just blah, 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 blah. And, nothing bad happened to me, thankfully, but I know what it's like to be a person like that. And you're very naively trusting. Very naively trusting. You don't think that people are going to do anything to you. They like me. They're talking to me. They're whatever. So I just wonder, with the police not releasing Ethan and Xena's timeline, saying that it could be a critical part of the investigation, if it actually is a critical or the critical part of this investigation. Did they invite anyone back to their house? Did they say, oh, we're drinking with these people, we're drinking with this guy, we're drinking with these couple of guys and a girl, or something like that. And, why don't you guys come back to the house? It was a party house. It was known as that. Why don't you guys come back to the house? There's even Dylan, and I'm just making a case for my little theory, which again could be 100% wrong. But again, I put Kaylee's TikTok in the chat if you want to go watch that for yourself. I wish I could bring it up. I can't. But that TikTok said a lot to me with the roommates imitating each other. I just keep going back to that because the very last one the very last roommate to imitate another roommate was Dylan. Dylan imitated Xena. And her imitation was, oh, hey guys, like, actually, let me play the audio for it. I can play the audio so you can at least hear it. I don't need to do that. Oh my goodness. Oh no, Kaylee. Oh wow. Oh wait, okay, hold on. Was her? Okay. I'm sorry. I thought that it was privated. It has not been privated. So let me just go to the end so you guys can hear the audio of this.
Did anyone do their chores today? Okay, I'm just gonna do it.
Hold on. So I'm gonna go to the end of this. This is. I'll tell you what. Wait till you hear. Okay, here it is. So this is Dylan. Again, she was on the first floor. She is she's a survivor in this. Her life was spared. She is imitating Xana, and she's gonna talk about having a party. Like, hey guys, can I just like invite a couple people, like 3 or 4 people tops? It just kind of tells you that this is probably something that Xana has done. Like, hey guys, you mind if I have a party? Like, I'm just gonna invite like 4 or 5 people, and that's like 15 people. Because again, keep in mind, like they're making fun of each other. They're goofing around. They're teasing each other.
No, is it okay to have a party? Like just 3 or 4 people at most.
And she gives a big smile when she says that. Like, just 3 or 4 people at most. Hey guys, can I have a party? Like just 3 or 4 people. And then she gives this giant smile because, again, this is something that Xena has done. That Xena has been like, hey, do you guys care if I have a party? And again, like just, oh, I'm only going to invite 3 or 4 people, and it turns into 10 or 15 or 20 or something like that. So I'm just, with their timeline being unknown, this has to be a critical part of the case. You must know what every single victim in this case, you have to know all of their timelines. You cannot just know 2 of their timelines and know what happened in this case. You can't. Come out. Donna, are you talking to okay? At Michelle, not sure. Okay, what are you guys talking about here? I'm looking at comments now. Perry, UK, true crime. Anyone think it's possible Charles Capone really is innocent? It was actually David Stone who committed the murder of Rachel Anderson in Moscow, Idaho. I haven't looked into that, Perry. Actually, if you have, please feel free to say more. That's interesting. Michelle at Swiggy, that was the boy who drowned in the creek earlier this year. Yes. Actually, I took screenshots of that. So let me just look at this young man because I did screenshot all of that. Here he is. So yes, the young man that died, his name was Hudson. And he was in the Delta TAU, Delta to Delta fraternity. Actually, hold on a second. Let me see if I'll send this to my email, and then I'll try to pull. I didn't do this in a live stream already, did I? I don't think it did. Oh, Jess, I accidentally picked you. I was trying to type it myself, and I accidentally picked you. All right, so let me pull this up, and I just want to pull this picture up of this young man. I'll wait for myself. Oh, there I am. Hey. All right, so let me just share my screen. Make sure it's sharing. I wish I had a back office. Damn it! I need a back office. Oh, there's me. I gotta look on my phone and see if it was sharing or not. Oops. Let me drop this chat down as well. Yeah. Okay. So I want to show this, or do I have it pulled up in pictures? I do. Okay. So yeah, this is the young man that was killed, or died. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say killed. Died. One of so I'm kind of mad at myself that I didn't take the entire screenshot. I do believe this may be on Crime Stories Obsessed. If that's wrong, I'm sorry. But it says one of Hudson's friends, blurred out in the photo, is Delta to Delta's president. It has to be the male because fraternities are all males and sororities are all females. So it's definitely got to be the guy in this red hoodie. But the same frat, oh, I was wrong. Look at that. Glad I pulled this up. The same fraternity, JS, that would be hoodie guy, was supposedly kicked out of. Make it make sense. So, yes, as you can see in this picture, oops. This is the house, literally, this was in May of this year. This is the house right next to our 4 victims' house. This, again, I talked about this way earlier in the stream, but this is their house. This is their house. Here's the sliding glass door where we think that the perpetrator entered. This is the house. So, and again, for this young man who died in April or of May of 2022, Maddie, I believe Xena, and I can't remember the other thing. I know it's Maddie and Xena were both at the ball. The Delta to Delta held its 90th annual ball. And this young man, he's a part of the fraternity. He attended, and so did some of our victims. But it's just really odd that he would be photographed, and this is the background. Pink is saying the boyfriend of the unfortunate has had his satellite turned upside down. You know what, Pink? Did anyone watch Sweetie Pilo stream? Sweetie Pilo found something on, I can't remember if she said it was Reddit or 4chan, but it's pretty incredible. Because if you guys don't, you do, but especially on 4chan, you can be completely anonymous. People have actually on Discord, on 4chan, they have murdered people, and they have literally uploaded those pictures onto there. People have done some really insane, heinous things. But there was somebody that uploaded something pretty cryptic, and they uploaded a map. And the map had all of these different pins in it. After this stream, I'll have to go to Sweetie Pilo's channel and pin this to the top of this stream so you guys can watch it. But this map had all kinds of different places on Moscow pinpointed on it. One of the places was the post office. I don't think it was highlighted in her video. I don't believe so. But I think it was a couple days after or so that Kaylee's father said, yeah, we had to sign some type of like waiver for incoming mail. So somebody mentioned it was quite a while ago, but somebody mentioned the Zodiac killer. This case gives off all of those vibes. Ted Bundy vibes, the Zodiac killer's vibes. If this killer gets, and I do feel, and it's just my feeling, there is nothing supporting this, it is just my feeling, that I feel like this guy, with enough time given for his satisfaction, will feel extremely emboldened And I do feel he will act again. This is not the kind of person that just commits a rage murder and is just done. No, this person has a lust for blood. This person has a lust for killing. There is something that these killings did for this person internally, and I believe that they will absolutely act again. That's just my assessment of it. But I think what are you guys saying? I am looking. Oh, yeah, Sweetie Pilo. She has that, and yeah, she did a video with this map. And again, it was so weird because she did this video. She was pointing out different things. I don't really, she was giving her perception on stuff, but it was just an awfully strange thing. And then a couple days later, here comes Kaylee's dad talking about, yeah, we had to sign this waiver for some mail. So it's really odd that the post office on this map was a pinpoint, and it was. So Michelle is saying the absolute worst fear. It really is. It really is. If this was random, I agree with Kaylee's dad that it's even more terrifying. I wouldn't want to think that anyone would target these young people, but it would absolutely be more terrifying if they were not the specific targets and it's more what they represented. Because if that is the case, then you can most likely 100% guarantee that there will be more murders. If this person did target what they represented, that bloodlust has just begun. I don't believe it'll stop. I don't believe it will stop. Squeaky Wheel is saying, I remember her dad talking about signing a waiver so their mail could be intercepted. Yeah. I didn't know what he was talking about, though. This helps. Thanks. Yeah, very, very strange. If this killer decides to go the Zodiac killer route, the BTK killer route, and start taunting media and things like that, and becoming so emboldened to do so, which I don't know what it is, you guys. Something just tells me that this is that kind of killer. That he is going to get that way, if not caught. And it's just because of all the behavioral things, all of the facts that we do know, which again are very few. For a crime this size, we don't know the half of it, so to speak. So what we do know, it really would, if my child, I'll say this, I'll sum it up this way. If my child went to the University of Idaho, they would be coming home. They would be coming home very early for Christmas and staying well throughout the new year until something was done. I would prefer them to do remote learning. Even though knowing my kids, they would not want to do that, I would insist upon it. Because I don't think, I saw one girl on the news and she was like, I'm going home. Like, I'm not staying here. And, I thought to myself, good, you need to do that. You need to go home. Just go home, literally. This person is not done. This person has not been caught. And if they continue to not be caught or named a person of interest or suspect or whatever, I think as time goes on, yes, this person will become very, very emboldened and will start laying the groundwork for their next target, their next house target. If we find out that one of these 4 victims was the main target, I want to say what Kaylee's dad said, that it doesn't make that person more responsible, or their family more responsible, or oh, it was your daughter that was targeted. Why did my kid have to die? Or why these other people? For the love of God, if that is how this turns out, that we find out absolutely this one student was targeted, I sincerely hope, even though I know we're dealing with the freaking internet and social media, that no one attacks this family of the targeted person if that's what this turns out to be. Or of the targeted person's family, I should say. Pink is saying that is what the letter said. Sorry, it is chopped. Wait, what? They've released the letter? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just reading you guys' comments. Pink, by her brutal slaying, which came unconscionably days earlier, the young maids. Oh, are you past the Thanksgiving vacation together? That is what the letter said. Sorry, it is chopped. I hope you choke on your food. Bye. Okay, I don't know. I think Michelle, if they can do remote learning for COVID, they can do remote with a killer on the loose. Just saying. Yeah, I just feel like, well, obviously this killer has killed both male and female, and again, no sexual assault. That is so huge in this case. Giant. That glaring elephant in the room, that none of these victims were sexually assaulted, again, just speaks of pure hatred. And again, I will say hatred of, I hate who you are. I hate what you represent. I hate what you are about. I feel strongly about that. And I could be, I don't know. I haven't investigated this case. I don't know what police know. Okay. This is just me speculating with you guys in the chat. That's what it is. So that's all it is. That's what I feel about this killer. So, and which is just crazy scary. Kevin is saying, why has no one, all caps, looked into Maddie and Kaylee having a joint OnlyFans page? That has to hold clues, in my opinion. Did they have a joint OnlyFans page? I was unaware of that, Kevin. Do you have a channel, or where did you hear that from, or do you know that is a fact? Because I have not heard that. And this, if they do have a joint OnlyFans page, I'm not going to shame them. Number one, they're young, they're single. Well, they weren't exactly single, but either way, you can do what you want with your body. Okay. So if they had that, they had that. If that made them extra money, it made them extra money. People pay for whatever the hell they want to pay for. But you're right that it would expand potential perpetrators onto them as the targets. So that's interesting. Again, Kevin, if you know what their OnlyFans page was, please type it in the chat. I've not heard that. Have any of you guys heard about that? Or I really have heard nothing of an OnlyFans. Liz is saying, I say shame on the school. I believe they don't want posters or reward offers. Yeah, same. Just to keep it played down. Yeah. Yep. And you know what? They're not the only ones. You can really expect that from a lot of universities, honestly. So Dorothy is saying, could also be, I hate that I'm not you. Yes. This is kind of where I'm going with this. It just feels that way to me. I don't know. And again, I'm not a psychic or an investigator in this case, so I don't know. But my overall feeling is just that this person Yes, jealousy, envy, hate what you represent, hate that I can't be you, hate that you are what you are. Why are you like that? Why am I like this? God, I can't stand you. Like, these are all the type of things that go through my mind when I envision this killer. It just feels that way. The knife itself, I know it's been talked about a million times, but it is personal. It's extremely personal. Knives are, you know, you would really expect, especially as somebody committing a mass murder, multiple people, a gun, bang, 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 everybody's dead. But this is different. This is very different. This person took their time to kill 4 different people with a knife. Um, the magnitude of that is just astounding. It truly is. The location of it, astounding. The victims, who they were, what they represented. Again, I keep going back to what they represented, but I feel like that's very large in this case. Could be wrong, just my feeling, but I feel like it's large in this case. Um, and again, I still get stuck on the fence because if you really want to know my gut down feeling of just what I speculate, I want to say late 20s. I want to say anywhere from 28 to maybe early 30s. That this person, I feel like this person is in that age range. I don't know why. I don't know why. I can't even tell you why the hell I feel like that. I just do. That they're somehow in this age range. And it just, I think because stabbing multiple times. We've even heard from Kaylee's family that these were not just like, little puncture wounds. They were really full on stabbings. For a person to have the stamina, I know that adrenaline will kick in when you're doing something of a crazy magnitude, which this would be. So this person would obviously have an insane amount of adrenaline flowing through them. But it just, for me, I don't see this being a 40-year-old man. I don't. Could be, but I don't think so. I think this was a young enough man to have the stamina to carry out this crime, but old enough to have a little bit more wisdom than a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, 22-year-old, something of that nature. So that's why I don't know. I lean more towards late 20s, very early 30s. So, and that's just my speculation again. I want to make that very, very, very clear. What you're hearing is not fact. It is speculation of myself. So, read some comments here. Hey, Mitchy Money. Kaylee's dad seems to be the only person really. Yeah, listen, I saw him getting some slack lately. I see both sides. I'm a Gemini. I'm going to throw that out there too. I'm a Gemini, so I do see both sides a lot of the time. But I see both sides of the argument. As a parent myself, I would be Kaylee's dad. I know myself too well. That's exactly how it would be. Like, you know what? I would be trying to hold it in. I would be wanting to say everything. I would want you to find this person now. I get him. I feel this man, and I do feel like he is a spirit animal that I would be if in his position. I also see the other side of the argument that, and this is a big side. You really have to take it into account that what they know, these police officers are ground level. The detectives, they're ground level. They're going to gather everything up. This eventually goes up to a prosecutor. This prosecutor has to understand all of this evidence, all of these connections, and then present it to a jury in a court. You do not want that compromised. You do not want people saying all kinds of things at one time. This is how a case gets really convoluted, because a defense attorney could go and say, hey, her dad said this and this and this. This is not what you're saying in your report. Or did you guys tell her mother this, because this is not what is in the report? So I see both sides. All I can really say about this is, one, I do not envy any of these families, and my heart, as much as it can be, is broken for these families. I, as a member of the public, I appreciate Kaylee's father being so open, or as open as he has been, because it's helping us understand the case. But at the same time, I will do without the information as long as the people or person that committed this crime goes away for the rest of their life. I can find that out at trial. So for the public, we got to be patient, guys. Patience is a virtue. It truly is. It always will be. And for a lot of us, it's difficult. I'm a Gemini. I'm an air sign. I like things to move quickly. I don't like things to linger on. I don't like to hold on to things too much. I want to move. I didn't know it. Actually. I think I actually got this wrong in a past live stream, because I think I said that Kaylee was a Scorpio, and she wasn't. Kaylee and Maddie both were Geminis, like myself. One of their birthdays is only 3 days away from mine. So as a Gemini, and as a Gemini that was a young Gemini, 21-year-old Gemini, I can tell you, I like to party. I like to meet multiple people. Very free spirit. Now that I'm 41, I've simmered down, but I still love to talk to people. I still love to meet people. I still love to do that thing. So them being friendly and being, as Maddie was described, does not surprise me. Very much. I like when I was listening to descriptions of them, I was just literally thinking back to my years of being that age and how I was. And I was like, well, yep, we shared some traits there. So, I don't know. I still just wonder if it was who was the target, and I believe it was the house itself. That's what I think. That's my theory, guys. Rah. Squeaky Wheel. Squeaky Wheel saying, I think Kaylee's father fears another Delphi situation where the case drags on for years. We all know now that there was no reason for that to occur. Rick Allen basically confessed to being there. Oh, yeah, he confessed early on to being there, very early on. But, putting somebody in the vicinity of an area doesn't make them guilty. So I know that there was a clerical error and things like that with the Delphi case. This case is way too early to even compare to Delphi at this point. Just way, way, way too early. We are, 4 weeks in to a quadruple murder. Way too early for that. We're not 5-6 years in. So I do think that the cops know more. I believe that. And obviously they know more, because after Kaylee's dad has said some of the things he has said, the cops they really basically came out, like did a whole press conference, but they were kind of like just talking to Kaylee's dad. like, sorry, we can't let this out, but this is, part of the investigation and blah, blah, blah. So they basically kind of shut that down a way. Like, I'm really sorry that we can't tell you this, but this is why. So again, the people that just suffer, and it is suffering the most, will never be any of us. It will never be the police. It will be these victims' families, their mothers, their fathers, their siblings, their aunts, all of those close people that knew these 4 victims will suffer the most. They'll be kept in the dark about a lot of things so that a trial is not compromised. They will constantly wonder. They will come up in their minds different things, just like we do. These aren't even our loved ones, but we've all theorized. We've all come up with different things that we think it is. I'm doing that right now, but we don't know, and they don't know. And it just, we see the pictures of these people. We see TikTok videos. We see stuff like that. This can never compare to what these people know of them. They know them. They have hugged them. They have done loving acts for them, sent them whatever, or they have exposed their lives around these people. Their grief is got to be on a scale that any of us that have not had a murdered child, we just can't conceive it. We can't possibly know it. So it just, I don't know. I've been thinking so much about this case and just watching different things that come across my news feed about it, and just looking up different things, just watching their TikToks. And I'm just like, I'll just sum it up with this, because we are almost at 3 hours and I got to stop doing these crazy long live streams, you guys. But anyway, at the end of the day, my theory, my own theory, which has no factual basis, but just behavioral wise, I do think that this was one person. I think they are filled with rage and anger. As far as planning goes, I don't know that they specifically planned for this house, but I feel like the act that they committed was something that they definitely have thought of prior. That this wasn't just spur of the moment, I'm just going to kill everyone. I don't think so. I think there were probably prior thoughts of things of this nature, prior fantasies, potentially things of this nature. I think there was thoughts prior to this, and I do believe this person is probably late 20s, early 30s. And I also think that we have to be careful in naming who the target was, because it could have been one person, but it definitely could have been the entire house, the situation, who they were, what they represented. And I do lean more towards that, of what they represented was unacceptable for whatever reason to this killer, whatever, fanatical ideas they had or thoughts that they had. It didn't align. It didn't align with what these young adults, what these college kids represented. That's really what I think about this. If we find out that, this was like somebody very known to them and was, like 22 years old or 21 years old or something crazy, I'll be very shocked. I'll be very shocked by it, because that rage and anger, it had to be just severely out of control for years. This kind of murder it doesn't just happen. That's just not the way this works. It does not just happen. Someone can snap and kill a person in a crime of passion, or even multiple people. They can do that. That is a reality that has happened. But this case is just the killer hiding, not wanting to be caught, the quadruple, murders, the different victims, all of that. It just really points to a person that I don't know that any one of them was the target. And I just, again, I would be very shocked if it was somebody that they knew that was around their age. I would be very shocked to find that out. Because if that turns out to be, matter of fact, no matter who it is, whatever, whatever the age range, whatever, the killer is going to have, I guarantee you, there's no doubt in my mind about this, that he is absolutely going to have people around him or that knew him that are going to say, yes, he was always violent, he was always this way, or he was always had a really bad temper, or he ranted about college students. There's going to be something of that nature, no matter the age of this killer. But I just think this person was young enough with enough stamina to carry it out, a little bit older, wiser to not want to get caught or not get caught. And he hasn't been thus far. I think he's going to be. I hope he's going to be, because I feel like if he's not, this will happen again from this same person. Kevin is saying also, on all this Santa's mom talk, are we sure she wasn't tied into the cartel or a major mover? After she got arrested, I just kept thinking, how odd. I'll agree. Very, very odd. I've actually seen people say, that's not how the cartel would kill people. Yes, it is. I have a very personal story with the cartel that I'm not going to retell again. You can go watch some of my other live streams where I've talked about it. But I have a very personal story with the cartel. At yes, no. If you think that they wouldn't commit a crime like this, they would. Absolutely. And I've seen a lot of people say, well, the cartel would use a gun. Wrong. Wrong. Not that they wouldn't use a gun, they would, but if you think that they don't use knives, you're very, very sadly mistaken. They absolutely will, because it's less noise. And it's that simple. So, lead with love. Tranquilizers do mess with the memory. And, oh, you guys are talking about something else. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Dad said he talked to her at midnight. Yes, he did. 12:30, I believe. Meech money. Hang on a sec. All right, sorry. So, oh, Meech money saying black folks will hold your ass up till we get the information we need. Yeah. Kaylee's mom is at least on TV looking for her daughter. The mother's still talking about how traumatized she is. At some point, she got to snap out and figure some shit out. That's being a parent. Well, there's really no rule. There's no book on grief. We've all heard that statement, but it's absolutely true. So I think that Kaylee kind of really represented her family. She is portrayed as a person that kind of was the center of attention. She talked about herself a lot. She was very noticeable. And, you kind of see why that is with her family, that, they're the same. They're very front and center, and we want to know what's going on. I know you're talking about Xena's mom, who, is very traumatized. I'm not going to fault anybody. I'm really not. I think this is completely, I think these parents of these four victims they never in a million years imagined this would happen. They did not see this coming. I think the parents looked at their kids and thought they're doing the best they can. They're doing good in life. Everything's great. It's what you want for your kid. My kid's in college. They're living their best life. They have good friends around them. Like, they're just happy. That's what parents always want for their kids, just to be happy. So I think the shock, and I think for Xena's family especially, she was going to college, she was getting her degree. It's obvious, that she didn't have the same type of upbringing as Kaylee or Maddie. She lived with her aunt for a period of time, meaning that she didn't live with either one of her parents. So I think she went through more of a rough time. So I think her parents probably look at her going to college as oh my God, a wow, our daughter is doing this. She's actually breaking the cycle, or, she's not going to be like us. She's going to be better than us, which is what most parents want. So this happens. I think her mom, Xena's mom, probably is taking this so incredibly difficult, because I don't think Xena's mom has made all the right choices in her life. And I'm not going to go into that. There's no reason for me to shame this woman. But I obviously, I don't think she's made all the right choices. So with her daughter, going to this college and going to get this degree, it was probably something deep inside of her that she was very proud of. My daughter's not like me. She's surpassing me. She's doing what I couldn't do. And so for your daughter just to be murdered, slaughtered, like they're nothing, it has to be insanely devastating to a person that's probably gone through a lot of crap in their life and had all of this hope for their child. And it's just been snuffed out, literally. So I'm not going to hold that against Xena's mom. Meets money. I don't understand for the life of me why the hell is it not 100,000 reward? 100,000 reward for these kids. It makes no sense. This case can be solved in hours. Somebody 20s or mid 30s said this. They talked. Yeah, I believe the same age range. I'll bring up the cartel stuff. I just thought I would touch on it, but either way, I'll say something about rewards. Okay. They're often offered and very rarely paid out. And it's not because they're not paid out because people don't want to pay them out, even though that has happened. It's just more that it doesn't really work as much as people think it does. I think people are like, God, a reward, a reward, a reward. There have been very high rewards in other cases, and still there's been no talk at all. I don't think these kids or their parents are exactly hurting for money. So I don't think they would ruin their future with talking for something that their family probably doesn't view as a large amount of money. Kevin, I guarantee this killer, if it was, I'm sorry, I have to cough. I'm trying to hold in my cough. I guarantee you this killer, if it was only one person, did not say peep to anyone. Yeah, that's what, yes, Kevin, thank you for saying that. Because this is where I get stuck with the, was it one or two? Was it one or two? I feel like it was one because I feel like this person is a person that would take this kind of stuff literally to the grave. They're not telling anyone. This is their secret. But I feel like this person would let out clues. If this was a person that, had this hatred towards these students or things like that, there would be some clue to someone or something. Making weird statements, potentially, making disparaging statements about just students in general, or, even if Kaylee or Maddie were the targets, making statements about, stupid blonde college girls, or, just saying things like that. I hope that the people out there are taking notes or are thinking back to things that has been said to them or things of that nature. Yeah, you guys are on the reward stuff. It just, I don't know. Look at other cases. The rewards really don't do a lot. They usually cause more problem than help, which is a weird thing, but they do. I've seen cases with people that have way less money than these, Idaho University students' parents have, and it's done nothing. So it's just, I more so than money. There are things that are priceless, right? A conscience is one of them. If this person acted alone, again, extremely scary for anyone on that college campus or any surrounding campuses. I would definitely go home. But if this was one person, you can probably bet that this person feels zero remorse for this. They will feel the opposite. They will feel emboldened after a time. They will feel a high off of this. You're not going to be able to look for remorse or guilt in them to tell on themselves. It's not how it works. If there is two killers, your potential for catching them goes up because one of them may not have any remorse or anything, but the other one could. And the other one could tell girlfriends or people of that nature. So I would hope that it's two killers just because the potential for catching them would be higher. The biggest fear is that it's one killer with a deep hatred for what these students represented. That's gonna be somebody. It's gonna be much harder to catch. You're gonna rely heavily. Well, you're gonna rely heavily on forensics, but I think they do have this person's DNA, but it has not hit on any police databases. I believe that they're putting the forensics into like ancestry type ancestry.com type databases to see if there's any hits, and maybe they can go from there. But with them having his DNA and he hasn't, been caught or DNA tested for anything else, this case is really going to rely on the people closest to this person, to this killer. People that are observant, people that take notice of someone that rants about things, that may act in a funny manner around certain people. There's all kinds of things that you can take notice of. And this is going to be another reason why I'm telling you that I'm going to get a tattoo that says, read the room. Read the room. I do this all the time. No matter who's around me, I could just read the room. I see how everybody's feeling, the temperature of the room, if you will. Read the damn room. So again, if there's a person around you that is just sorry. Needs money. I'm 41. I know where I'm not sending my child, and she's 18. Yeah, U of I. Dorothy, Ethan's mom said it best. Let's see what this comment is. We did it. We raised 3 great humans. That was said upon leaving their kids at college. All 4 of those kids seemed that way. Great humans with great futures. Yeah, you know what? And that's another thing. Ethan's mom really killed me when she said that. Because as a parent, you have to feel some type of exactly what she said, some type of accomplishment. We've raised these little baby humans all the way up. They're adults now. They're in college. They're going on with their life. That is a sense of accomplishment. You have done this. You have helped them all of this way. You have taken care of them. You provided for them. To have their lives snuffed out this way, it's just heartbreaking. I'm going to end that here. I appreciate you guys all for being in this chat. I will see you guys later and talk to you guys later. Bye for now.